What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to episode 1. That's right. That is right. Episode 1 happens to fall on May the 4th. Be with you. And we are with you, and you're with us. We're your drinking buddies, your wrestling buddies. We are Wrestling on the Rocks at WOTR the show. I am at Ref Marsh. Justin, how are you doing, man? Say hello.
I am doing okay. I'm like barely any fucking sleep after last night because stupid weather caused power outages and all that shit and fucked with my sleep. But other than that, good to go.
You didn't sleep through the power outage?
No, I fucking hate when power outages go because they fucking screw up my sleep every time.
Yeah, but how did you know if you were sleeping?
I woke up in the middle of the night, it's like 1:30-ish. I woke up freaking absolutely dead silent, and I'm like, oh, fucking power went out. Great, fabulous.
Oh, do you have like
And
the
then
TV going and shit usually?
Yeah, I run with like a fan on at night just so I have some noise in here. And then nothing was on, nothing. And I just was like, oh, well, there goes my fucking sleeping.
Yeah, there's that. All right. Well, let's see if we can't drink and get mad about wrestling instead.
Let's do it.
From the power outage to the powers that be.
It's like a weird version of the Force.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. And guys, we do have our Wrestling on the Rocks episode 1 t-shirts on WrestlingOnTheRocks.com's shop. If you just go there, click shop, you can go straight over to it. I don't know if it's worth it to say every where all the hyperlinks go every time. I figure, you know what, I should just start telling people Wrestling on the Rocks is just your one-stop shop for all things rocks. You know what I mean? Because it's got it all. We put the videos, so every time we post, we go live, we post the video on Wrestling on the Rocks. We got the links to the podcast there. We got the links to the shop. We got links to our Twitch. We even tell you how to bundle your Twitch with your Amazon Prime, so you can subscribe to us for free. Buys me a drink, costs you nothing. Twitch Prime, wonderful. But the I and subscribe, the no and notifications. Yeah. So, WrestlingOnTheRocks.com for all of your rocks needs. Get your rocks off on WrestlingOnTheRocks.com.
No, don't say that. Don't advertise that way.
Get your rocks on. Ooh, get your rocks on because of the shirts you got to put on your shirt.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
So the new slogan for the shirts.
Yeah. Get your rocks on. WrestlingOnTheRocks.com/shop.
Still doesn't sound good.
Yeah. We're rocks heavy here, man. We are rocks heavy.
This is why we're never
Also,
getting a sponsor.
We ain't nothing to rocks with.
You also just got a new shirt there now.
Wait, he's really proud of that one,
Yeah.
Justin. You gotta give him a minute.
Yeah, let it breathe. Nothing to rocks with. Hell yeah. Justin, thank you for coming down in a pinch. I reached out to you, I believe it was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, if I'm not mistaken, to see if you could do this show today.
All right, I'm out.
She's gone. It's just you and me now, buddy. We can get away with whatever we want now.
Oh.
I mean, you know what we should have posted today? I didn't even think about it, so I'll have to go find it. The clip where Kevlar's audio went out and sounded like Princess Leia as a bounty hunter, and Iron Manzi was on, and he died when I pointed that out. Yeah, I'll find it. I have the clip saved somewhere. Yeah, but yeah, I got my decks out. Short for decorations. I got my decks out. My deck is out. Whipped out all the deck. And it's on here. I got my Death Star, my Yodas. If you notice, for Bishop, if he's tuning in, guys, Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast, I got all his merch out here on the table, too, so people can take a look. Check out him as well. And if you want 25% off on his shop, It's only going to be good for another couple of days because when he comes on the next time, he's going to pull the promo down. The promo is D as in dog, E as in elephant, the greater than symbol, A as in A, and Z as in the last letter of the alphabet. Get yourself 25% off on Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast /TWTs. But
Learn the alphabet with Marsh.
yeah, I'm good at alphabets. Justin, what's in your glass, man?
I've got my sponsored, non-sponsored watermelon Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah,
Just
I
telling
just
you,
realized
it's just like a drug to me right now. I don't know why.
the watermelon one. Can you grab me the Terramana?
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't know what it is. I'm like hooked on it. I don't.
Well, and then like you said, you never know when it's going to go away.
Yeah, so I'm gonna enjoy it while it's around.
Get it while you can. I'm going to give a little shout out, a little happy birthday wishes to The Rock as well. It was his birthday. I don't know where to put this. I'll put it right here. It was The Rock's birthday like 2 days ago. Yesterday. Potentially 2 days ago. It was recent. So happy birthday to The Rock. Cheers. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish off our bottle of Terramana. The Rock's tequila, which is a goddamn delight. I even gave a bottle of it to a friend from work as a gift because he drinks tequila like crazy. And he usually drinks like Padron and stuff. That's usually kind of more his speed. And I was like, well, you got to try this stuff then. And he was very pleased. He was very pleased. So. Oh. So, Justin, I'm happy you came through, man.
Thank you for letting me come on again.
What's the hashtag now that we're using for our side of the IWC?
It's changed up so many times. I don't even know what it is. Everyone changes it up every time.
That's what I mean. Everyone's changing. That's what I noticed. That's my whole point. Everyone keeps changing it, and it can't trend. No one knows what it is.
Just trend all 3 of them then, or all 6 of them, whatever one you're using.
Yeah, we're going to have to, each one's going to need like 6 hashtags on it. We're going to be like, look, It's our side, our side, our side, our side, our side, our side of the IWC. 100% going to be that way. Let's see. I don't think I have a ton of news, but there is something I did want to talk about, especially with you, because you have a pretty good scheme of things. Let me, as I scroll through this, let's see. George Hackenschmidt Day. He was first recognized as the World Heavyweight Champion in 1905 on May 4th. So that's a good one. WWE started it with a new slogan. Their Then Now Forever is also accompanied with Together at the end. And Stephanie, when she was asked about it, she said it's about inclusivity, bringing people together, putting smiles on people's faces, and creating moments and memories that last a lifetime. What do you think of that?
I like it, though. It especially during the pandemic, it was perfect because it's like, even though some wrestling fans go at it and butt heads with each other, you're still watching the show and it feels like you're meshing, like you're getting along with people. And they're just like, we want you all to enjoy this together, not like by yourself.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
communal.
Awesome. It's really a smart thing to do because especially during the crazy ass pandemic, like it's not just, we're not doing this for one person, we're doing this for all of you. And we hope you all enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah, that whole audience of one narrative is such bullshit to me. It always has been. I mean, honest to God, the idea that the audience of one has maintained a company that long tells me that, A, if it truly is all an audience of one, then that one person has similar tastes to a large majority of people in order to keep this thing going for so long. You know what I mean?
Yes. Definitely.
So if it's an audience of one, it's an audience of one who's representing an awful lot, you know? Yeah. So, but yeah, I liked it. I liked it, the together thing, because it kind of, you know, I mean, it doesn't mean anything really, but you know, it does. When you see it, you go, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because they do try to do a lot of stuff in their communities and stuff. Let's see, the other thing
you can look at it as like they're just trying to plug some kind of nonsense, but if you actually sit and look at it, they're telling us all that we should be together for this, and I like it. It's perfect.
100%. And I mean, that's the whole point of this whole thing. We just want to be we want to be the dive bar of the IWC. You know?
Ooh.
At Russell Atlanta is live.
Their website or their Twitter. Yeah. But yeah, we're just trying to be the dive bar of the IWC. We're trying to do it all together. We're just trying to hang out, have drinks, talk wrestling, because it's fun, man.
It is.
Let's see. So the at Wrestle Atlanta Twitter account has gone live. That's David Marquez's Atlanta branch of the CWF. So go follow that. I'm excited about that. Did you ever watch NWA when it was on YouTube?
I did. I followed it for the most part, but then when the pandemic hit, I kind of like stopped watching beforehand because I wasn't really able to keep up because they were on like the same day as like NXT was on and all that stuff. And I was just like, this is so hard to keep up with. And I kind of fell off on them, but I've been keeping track of everything that they were doing. I wasn't like actually watching the show all the time, but I was keeping track of what was going on.
Yo, dude, and they kind of fell apart during the pandemic. They became a Patreon exclusive thing for a while. Mm-hmm. They let go of most of their staff who was working backstage. It came out that the only person who was under contract at all was the champions. So you had Aldis, Thunder Rosa, Ricky Starks was still biding his time on it. Allison Kay and Zicky Dice were the only ones who had contracts, and most of them just let them run out, and everyone else was just like, yeah, sorry, you don't make money now.
Wow.
And dude, Nick Aldis's interview where he came out he was on Busted Open. He sounded like such a dick on that when he goes, yeah, they pay me 6 figures because I'm worth it. I bring that in. If you want to be contracted to this company, you have to prove that you're bringing in all that. And I was like, what? Like, you just shit on your entire fucking show, dude. It was so weird.
I hope that was like an in-character thing and not him actually being a dick. Because if it was, that's some really, like, cocky prick shit right there.
Yeah, it was not an ideal situation, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
Let's see. Something else is going on. There's 2 other points I want to talk to you about. I don't want to like delve into all this stuff if you didn't see it yourself, because then it's just like, he said, she said bullshit, so. Yeah, but here's another quote from Stephanie McMahon. And all of NWA stuff is like behind a paywall now. But I was at the Hard Times filming. I was live in the audience. I loved it. I was so into NWA. I have one of their turn pads signed by almost everybody on the roster. Like, it was so dope, dude. But yeah, now that everything's behind a paywall and seeing the way they're doing stuff, I was kind of like, well, we had a good run.
I was about to say, I hope they don't go out, because it would be nice to have them around for like people like that leave WWE or that leave AEW and stuff like that. But they're kind of in a bad predicament here, putting everything behind a paywall.
Yeah, they are, and you don't know what you're buying. You don't know what you're getting. No one's talking about their pay-per-view they did to come back. No one's talking about their weekly show. I see one person who tweets about it because he's obsessed with the NWA because he was part of their Patreon, so he did Zoom calls with everybody in it, and so he thinks he's part of the company now. But outside of that, I don't see anybody talking about it, dude. So I don't know, it's one of those things. I really wanted it to be a good thing. My other problem is that Nick Aldis became 900 Days champion, but he hadn't wrestled in over a year because of the pandemic and stuff, and that kind of shit bothers me, man. Like, when you wrestle twice in 1 year and you've been the champion all year, okay, fucking super impressed. Yeah. You know what I mean? You were king of a very specific small little indie niche, and I likened it to the Internet Wrestling Championship of Zack Ryder. So I want to know how many days that Zack Ryder has been Internet Wrestling Champion, because I feel like that's kind of on par with the NWA Championship at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Like, he was a really good champion, but he definitely, with all when he was out from the pandemic and all that, I don't think he really has the right to call himself the longest reigning champion, especially when he hasn't done jack shit with it.
Especially when his whole thing was that he was hired in by Billy Corgan at the beginning of it at a high contract to be the champion while they figure stuff out. And they've been figuring stuff out now for 4 years.
Yeah.
You were brought in to be the champion. You're the only employee of NWA. Like, fucking relax. Like, with this fucking ego about it. No, you're not on par with Harley Race. Harley Race had actual competition out there.
They're pretty much past the point of trying to figure stuff out.
No, that's the problem, Justin, is they're not past the point of trying to figure stuff out. They're past the point of our patience with it, which is why fucking we're not buying Fight TV.
Yeah.
Because you've had 4 years to figure it out, and you spent a year off just figuring, I guess we'll just fire everybody, and Nick's still the champion. Okay, fuck, I'm impressed. What the fuck do you want? Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're fucking doing. Yeah. But I'm really excited about CWF Atlanta because I think that has a lot of legs to it, and that's going to be something that's going to be worth watching, I think. The people who are involved in that, fantastic. So let's talk about these two things that are going on in the IWC, Justin.
All right, what do we got?
As my local representative of the IWC. Well, one of the things that happened a couple of days ago, Stephanie did say, what if women's sports were given the same level of money and media attention as men's? When you air the games, people watch. If you promote them, people will show interest. If you invest in them, it will pay off. Because she was talking about into response an article that was coming out saying that people are tuning in more than ever to watch women's sports, and it's because of the promotion of it. So she retweeted it because she's a woman in sports and thinks that that's a fantastic thing to be talking about, and I don't disagree with her. The internet did. Oh, let me hit up the chat real quick and we'll get into it. Kuro says 13 minutes late. Oh, you missed nothing, Kuro. You're fine. Leah Moonlight coming through. Cheers, Leah Moonlight. Just had to chase the ice cream truck. Fuck yeah, dude. I hope you got... Leah says, run, fucker, run. I hope you got those fucking ice cream bars. The ones where the eyes aren't straight, but they're little bubble gums. So chase the ice cream the ice cream truck 6 blocks. Dude, fucking worth it. Worth it. Damn. So, Justin, this is also in time where Mick Foley... Well, let's go a step back behind there. A day before Mick Foley tweeted out, or 2 days before, Mickie James was on her own podcast. Something about gals who chat or something. It's her and a couple of other friends of hers. And it seems pretty cool for the most part. Yeah. I don't have anything bad to say about the podcast by any means. But she said that she had propositioned to somebody. I don't know that we got a name that it was specifically Vince or not, but she had propositioned to the company several times to doing an all-women's show. And not like Evolution, where it's like maybe once a year all-women's pay-per-view, but like an all-women's weekly show. And everyone's all like, yes, oh my God, yes. And then everyone's like, well, would you watch an all-women show? Would you watch a show that was all the women? And some people were all like, would be the only show I'd watch. Here's the deal. Mick Foley, a couple days later, sends out a tweet and says, Dear Vince, and tweets at Vince, and says, you need to be the first company to put out an all-women's show before AEW beats you to it. I was like, what the fuck? Lance Storm chimes in and says, where the fuck is it going to live? And he goes, and how does that mean for all your top women stars? Do they get pulled from Raw and SmackDown and end up over there, wherever there is? And if that's the case, a lot of talent could easily be seeing that as a demotion. He goes, I just think there's probably more to it. And I was like, yep. I sent out a tweet that said, I don't know if the answer to lack of representation has ever been segregation. Because that's the argument, right? That women aren't getting enough time. They're not getting treated right. They're not getting all the TV time that the men are getting. So they want 50-50, or they want their own show. Justin, if we ask the internet community if they would watch Ricochet wrestle every week, do you think they would?
I think they would. I don't know how you wouldn't want to watch Ricochet wrestle.
Do you watch Ricochet wrestle every week? Or would you, if it was an option? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Then explain to me, Justin. I'm putting you on the spot now. Justin!
Okay.
Ricochet does wrestle every fucking week on Main Event. On their Hulu show that they do for Main Event, and they also have a network show of 205 Live, and Ricochet and Ali had both been on there, highlighted as well. And people didn't tune in. And that's my point. That's my problem, is that just because we say we would and we want to and it sounds great, we also collectively as a bunch just fucking don't, dude. We just don't.
Yeah.
Well, there's also just so much wrestling on TV now.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things to watch in general.
100%. I agree. Justin, I was just setting you up with a bunch of stuff there. What do you think about all this, to be quite honest?
How do I word this without sounding like a jerk? If they put, I wouldn't mind if they did a show, but not like a one night show again, like another Evolution, like kind of like pay-per-view. Yeah. But I couldn't see them doing an entire show like weekly of just the women. It'd be the equivalent of 205 Live ish and Main Event, and who's really going to stop and put the time into watching the show? That's the thing. It's just, I don't see it working that way.
Producer, something you want to say?
Yeah, actually, I don't remember if I retweeted this or not, but Shimmer also, retweeted and said, "Hey, we've been around for 12 years or something crazy like that. Like, hey, we're still doing our thing. We're all women." And I mean, I gotta admit, there was a while there where I remember asking Marsh, like, "Oh, do you watch Shimmer?" And I think you were like, "Is that still a thing?" Because what we've seen from them is all the talent that's on the main roster. That's where they started, which is awesome. I love that there are these places where women could safely learn how to learn how to wrestle, because that's a thing that we've got these predators out there looking at this new talent. So I'm glad that there are safe places for women to learn. But as far as segregating, yeah, I don't think that's where the evolution should lead. I just think you want the same amount of time, but you also want to be included with the men. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily that we want to be segregated. And I don't know, that comes from me working in a men's typical historical men's line of work as a mechanic. I can't imagine, there was a time when, when it was only men. Like that, to me, it just seems so bizarre and the opposite of progress.
Yeah. Do you think Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte main event WrestleMania if they're on 205 Live every week?
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Let's see what's going on in the chat real quick. We got some people coming through. Jeremy Steven, cheers for coming through. Thanks, man. Says WWE already has enough shows like 205 Live, NXT UK, and Main Event that doesn't draw viewers, so I don't think a woman-exclusive show would be any different. And that's 100% the point that I see. I agree with you entirely, so cheers to you for being my favorite fan right now. I'm kidding. He's not a fan. I'm joking. I don't have fans here. We just have drinking buddies.
We definitely don't have fans. We don't have any fans.
Mm-hmm. No, people aren't fans of the show. They just like drinking with us. There are drinking buddies, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, Jeremy, thank you for coming through and being my new favorite drinking buddy. I'm going to buy you a drink, Justin. What are you drinking? What's in your glass? But, yeah, next round's on Jeremy. Just letting you know. That's my point, is we keep doing that. The best wrestling matches all year, I don't know that... If I had to put a top 5 wrestling matches of all year right now so far, 2 of them are immediately coming from NXT UK. But we're not watching NXT UK as a fan base. Yeah.
I am, but I know that I'm the minority because I even have to get you to watch it sometimes.
Yeah, I forget about it, man. And that's the deal, is that there's a lot of... There's a lot of casual viewers out there. What is the casual viewer going to think if they're watching Raw and SmackDown and they see 0 women and a commercial for a women's exclusive show? Do you think they're going to be like, oh, I guess I can stop watching Monday Night Raw. I'll go watch that. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because actually Marsh's family has a lot of casual viewers, and your nieces would never see the women wrestle.
That's a good point.
If that would be the case.
Except for the DVD I gave them of Bailey matches. I definitely did that. I was like, here's I got them the little fan packs. They had little girl toy fan packs that had little action figures that were like more rounded in their shapes and stuff. So it wasn't like jagged, muscly. It was like a little more almost cartoonish looking. There's a woman set out there. If you look it up, I think it's called WWE Superstars, the toy set. And there was a couple of fan packs that came with the DVD as well as like accessories. And there was a Bailey one and a Sasha one I got for them. I did not get them the Charlotte one because there's no fucking need. But
Boy.
so that means my niece has little boss time rings, or those ones say legit boss rings, and like a plastic headband for Bailey, and they'll watch the wrestling. And when the women do it, they jump up and down. My sister sends me videos when they're just freaking out about it. She'll send me little clips of my niece. She'll see it, and as the women are wrestling, she turns around and says, I want to do that someday. And it's all like, she's a baby, and she's probably just saying that. But as her uncle, I'm like, you're goddamn right you will, and I will manage you the whole fucking way. I will teach you not to go back on your word in this family.
So Kuro is in the chat saying, here's the issue with women exclusive show, who's producing it, because producer and wrestling have a bad track record, which is interesting because I do follow the company. I follow a lot of the executives on LinkedIn. And they do have a number of women in writing and creative. So I don't know where the disconnect is sometimes when we see the product that we're seeing, but they're there. It's just, it's not coming through sometimes.
Yeah, I also think that sometimes we give them a hard time. You want to know one of the most popular shows on USA right now?
What?
Temptation Island.
Oh my God.
Fuck Island is what I call it. That's one of their most popular shows right now, and it's like,
That's great.
can you watch that and be like, well, half of them are women, so doesn't seem objectifying in that regard, right? At least the dudes are fucking around too, right? Like, no, it's... I'm just saying that sometimes I think we as wrestling fans might be a little harsh on them. I think we need to hold them accountable, and we need to say, okay, hey, I mean, like we've talked about it. I'm not real happy right now with this Nia Jax storyline with Reginald and Angel Garza because I think it makes fun of Nia being a romance interest. It makes her the butt of the joke. Isn't it funny a guy would like her? Isn't it funny 2 men might fight over her? That's not okay. You know what I mean? So I don't like when they use romance angles in certain fashions for sure. But at the same time, as much as there was a lot of stupidity around it, the Lana Bobby Rusev thing made sense. You know, like, hey, that's human emotion they're kind of playing with there. I mean, obviously it didn't play out well, but on paper, you know, woman leaves husband for other man, they fight. Yeah, that sounds like a storyline you would see on TV in a movie for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we can be a bit harsh in some regards, but we do need to hold them accountable. Where are you gonna stay, Justin?
Yeah, I definitely still agree with producer lady though, because I don't see the point in them like designating them to their own show like that and not letting them be involved with the men also. Yeah.
Kuro's in the chat saying that also if you have a women exclusive show, how do you convince people it's not just eye candy, especially in wrestling? Think about heels. AEW heels? How much flack does that still get?
I mean, you're paying $50 for women to be fucking for women wrestling fans to interact with each other. That's just BS.
For one,
Which
yes.
is crazy because there's so many podcasts out there now. There's so many women-led podcasts. We don't need to have some exclusive thing. I mean, fans can meet or, converse with other fans just as easily now.
Yeah, we're the dive bar of the IWC. That's what we do here. We talk wrestling. I don't care who you are on the other side of that chat. Shoot it in. Tell me what you think. But what I'm saying is that when heels first happened, everyone thought it was women's wrestling behind a paywall. They all thought, oh, women's wrestling is on heels now. That's what they thought. I've seen people still argue about that, thinking that's what it is. When they're all like, oh, there was no women on Dynamite. Like, that's because they're all on heels. They're not. It's a fan club. It's a dumb fan club. It's a fan club. I love when Jim Ross fucking shit on it, too. Fucking love that.
Oh, that was so horrible.
Yeah.
I remember that.
What do they do? Bake sales?
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh!
Yeah. JR's got punches, but he's
They're not gonna
also
like that.
he's also hilarious.
JR's gotten to the point where he gives no fucks anymore.
That's kind of the best JR, I feel like.
Yeah. I love it. Kiro does say, would WWF or WWE ever make Yokozuna a love interest for comedic purposes? They did with Otis just last year. He was a love interest with Mandy because it was a joke, and no one took it seriously. And I just don't know that that's necessarily fair to Otis. It didn't pan out the way that I think a lot of people wanted. People loved him, and it was cool, and we all got behind him. But no one's getting behind Nia because Nia's the butt of the joke, and somehow Otis was the hero in the joke. So maybe it's just the way it's shown. I don't know, but I didn't like that. I wasn't a total fan that it was a huge love interest story. But I'm just saying that love interest storylines, I think, do have a place. But we all make snap decisions to say, oh, women and men, love interest, therefore it's horrible, and we don't give it a chance to breathe sometimes.
But also there was Mission Pro, which was Thunder Rosa's all women company that we also shouted out because, hey, if you're gonna knock one company for not having what you want, you have to recognize all the other ones that are out there that aren't getting as much attention.
Yeah, bottom line, Mick, other companies are already doing it. WWE wouldn't be the first. What happened with WoW when that came through? Shimmer's doing what they're doing. How is MLW doing? Better, but no one's tuning into those things because they want a more complete show, I think. And I don't think Becky worked her ass off to get the kind of screen time she got, to get to rub elbows with Stone Cold, The Rock, and Cena, hoping to lead it to just an all-women show where that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think that it's not viable in a lot of ways. Actually, that was the words they said. Now I think about it, Mickey's response was, "It's not viable." She said that's what they told her, and a lot of people said they don't think the women draw. No, they don't. They didn't say that. They said it's not viable. Viability has to do with the idea of it standing on its own, being isolated. The idea, if they removed the women from Raw and SmackDown, that's them saying they don't need the women on Raw and SmackDown. They, by saying no, are already stating they're too important to the big shows that they can't remove them. They can't risk losing eyes on the women. They want them on the most viewed things. And I don't think that's a bad place to start.
Yeah, and as a publicly traded company, they have to think about what is actually viable because there's stockholders, because there's more involved than just the wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's also the point of what Stephanie was saying when she said that this is what happens when you promote women in sports. Wrestling is largely a reflection of what other people are seeing. I had someone text me who was a relatively casual but consistent viewer of WWE, watched all the pay-per-views, and would talk to me about stuff. They would follow them on social media just to see what was going on. Sent me a text literally that said, this is moments after they announced that the main event for WrestleMania for 35 was going to be Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte. And he said, girls are main eventing WrestleMania. I'm never watching wrestling again. And I said, we're happy to see you go. We don't need people like you here. Because if you were watching, if you were paying attention, this is the most fire fucking story in all of wrestling right now. This is the most important story in all of wrestling right now. And if you are dismissive of it because of gender, then yeah, I don't think we need you here. You can go. And I haven't talked to him a lot since then. Yeah. Woo. But those mentalities are out there, you know? And so if sports on whole, if every sport is minimizing women's sports, one of the comparisons that was made on WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, there was a terrible comparison, and I thought it was absolutely stupid, but it was out there, was that having the women main event Night 1 and the men Night 2 was like having the WNBA do their tournament, their championship tournament, like the night before the NWA or the NBA's title tournament thing. And I was like, no, it's not. And they're like, no one's going to bother. No one's going to watch. It's not the same. It's not as good. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not, those aren't the things, you know? But those conversations have to go away, and they can't go away if the WNBA isn't getting promoted or viewed on an equal basis as the NBA. WWE will have an easier time of giving more time to the women without flack from the general public, not us wrestling fans. We know what's good, and we love it. But the general public they're trying to convince to come in, that conversation becomes easier if the other companies get on board.
Yeah, and also when I think about the women in the company that we love, you know, Bailey, Beth Phoenix, all these women that have, and Natty, like these women that trained with men, didn't train to think, oh, we should just be separated. No. They train to be on equal playing field. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Yeah. I think all stories ebbs and flows. Justin, what are you going to say?
No, I agree with everything you guys are saying because it just makes sense. There's no point in like making them go out there by themselves and not letting them be on the same level as the guys. It just doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make any sense to have them go not get any recognition while everybody else does beforehand. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Why start the women? Why start them all over? I don't know.
Exactly.
Doesn't feel right. Let's see. Kuro is in the chat. He said that he doesn't think anyone's behind Nia because she's an unsafe worker. Look, I'm not saying I like Nia or support Nia. I'm saying the storyline with Reginald, I don't like because it's made her the butt of this joke, and I think that as much as I don't like Nia, and I'm not a fan of Nia, I still think her as a person probably deserves better than that. But let's see. Kuro does say, here's a really big issue I see too. Quite a lot of people want women's wrestling pushed, but want men's wrestling to not exist at all or be trashed. I do think that there's a narrative that's similar.
I've seen
Go ahead,
that.
Justin.
I've seen that. There's been hashtags going around about getting rid of men's wrestling. And there was one going around that said, get rid of women's wrestling. And I'm like,
what?
So
I have not seen that.
I have. And I was like, so what? You just don't want wrestling, that means at
That's
all.
So
That's just
weird.
nothing. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. None.
I mean, it's even strange for the types of wrestling that we don't care for. It's weird to say to not have that because someone's a fan of it.
Yeah.
Maybe not us, but yeah.
I mean, that's how couples start watching wrestling to begin with. The guys are all like, no, trust me, she's a good wrestler. And the women are like, yeah, my ass. I'm going to watch this. And then they watch it and they go, well, this guy looks really wet. Like,
actually, I like that that's what Kevlar and his wife, when they were watching, and I forget who it was that Kevlar was drooling over. Oh, I want to see her. I just looked at him and I was like, you realize that all the men are completely chiseled and wearing like basically their underwear. Yeah. Like, she's going to get as much as much of the guys as you are of this person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, hey, it becomes a couples thing because you get to inadvertently drool over people and get back to what you guys were doing to begin with. And fantastic stories and athleticism. It's fantastic. So it makes wrestling so good is you get all of it in every show. Every show should have some of all of it. It's a variety show. We've talked about it before, even with Raw. There's chunks of time that I'm watching Raw and just go, yeah, this isn't for me. But somebody out there loves this. And that's what kind of the heart and soul of this whole show has always been, is trying to get people on who disagree with me more than agree with me to further prove that we both love, or in some case all three of us love with a passion, this industry, and all have completely separate tastes. And here we all are as friends enjoying it on hold and saying, yep, this segment wasn't mine. Or even watching a segment and going like, I know I don't like it, but Kevlar's going to love it, so I'm glad it's happening. Like AEW. I had to stop watching it full stop, dude. I don't like it. I can't stand it. But I know some people who are hardcore AEW fans, and I'm really happy it's out there for them, because then we get to talk about wrestling in general, and usually it ends up talking about wrestling of the old days and stuff, which is really fun. I don't want people to not like wrestling. I just don't want you to tell me I have to like yours.
Kuro's in the chat, and he says Natty versus Bobby Lashley, which made me think of when Sasha had an actual match against Reginald, and that created a lot of controversy. We loved it because it was different and it was good. I thought it was really good, and some people still don't want to see that.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought we were leading towards another Reginald match with somebody. Oh, we think we might get Reginald versus Garza, right? That could happen. That could be neat. I'd be all right with that. But, yeah, Kuro's also saying they need to just stop writing stuff based off of what somebody looks like when they're naked. And, you know, I get that too. But, yeah, I just don't think that isolating the women to 205 Live of women is the answer, because at the end of the day, everyone is in the IWC's consistently said, oh, we love the cruiserweights. Oh, they don't. Well, how come we haven't seen Ricochet in 4 weeks? Because you're not watching the show that he's on, is what it is. When I was doing the Thunderdome every week, if I came in early and watched them do main event, man, I watched Ali versus Ricochet 3 weeks in a row. And I was like, this is fucking dope, dude. Then when they came on to Raw, people were all like, oh, this could be interesting. And I was like, what do you mean? Of course it's interesting. It's their 4th match. This is a series and it's incredible. And then people are all like, I could watch another one of these. I was like, there's 4 more. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just, it's out there, and people are all, I mean, we say we want it, and then they make it happen, and then we don't want it. The cruiserweights. We all said we want it all the time. We need more cruiserweights. We want cruiserweights. They should do a whole cruiserweight division. Well, we will. We'll put it right here on the WWE network, and everyone's all like, pass. I'll see you when it's on Raw. Well, fuck, man.
I mean, yeah, you gotta make time for what you really want to see at this point. Have to make time to watch NXT UK.
Yeah, at this point, it's really lose-lose for WWE to be making more shows on that level that segregate people that way. What makes Main Event and 205 Live so good is it gives those people a chance to learn outside of NXT, because I do think, I don't know if we talked about it last week, dude, I think there's an NXT stink that ends up on people. I think when they're going to make it, they got to lose a few on NXT and get the fuck off TV for a bit. So when they come up to the main roster, you're not just getting the same person, because you can't get the same person the same way. NXT doesn't work the same way as other wrestling. I'm trying to think. There was somebody who recently, well, I mean, like Dabo Kato for one. Who? Rhea disappeared for a while, but there's somebody who was in developmental for a really long time and almost has been in there for a long time. There's been a few of them where but they were on NXT is what I'm saying. There's a lot of them that end up in NXT for a long period of time, and you never see them on NXT, and then they show up on the main roster, and people are like, who's this? What's this? And it's exciting and cool. And I think part of that is sometimes they go, yeah, this person's just not going to fit in here and is going to be a better fit for the roster, so we're going to leave them here to actually teach them stuff. You know what I mean? Roddy Strong, Kuro says. Yeah, I mean, but there's also people who've been there forever and will stay there forever because that's where they belong, and that show needs to be able to stand on its own too. And I think that guys like the Undisputed Era, apart from I think Kyle O'Reilly has the grounds to move up, but everybody else I don't know about. And Gargano and Ciampa, I think that's just it. That's just where they live now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a good enough place for them otherwise. So, I don't know. I just want to know what your take was on the idea of isolating the women, because it was going around like crazy, and everyone's all like, this is it. This is what we got to be doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the silliest, most like poorly thought out concept I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And of course they're going to be told it's not viable, because you know what it sounded like? If I could be a dick for a second. It sounded like Mickie James trying to get herself on TV and realizing there wasn't much there, and was just like, well, if they give us our own 2-hour show, I'll get time on that show because they'll just have to. There's not enough women for me not to be on. It's really what it sounded like.
As much as we love Mickey, it's not what I want to see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think Mickey's incredible. I think she's a legend. I think she's a Hall of Famer. I think that she has not done herself any favors since leaving. The stuff she's talking about. Also, Chelsea Green, on the same vein, pointed out on her podcast that she also got her stuff in a trash bag. Also did not provide an example of what they would have liked. The only person I've heard give an example of what would be probably acceptable was Sam Roberts. And what the fuck does he know when it comes to that?
What do you say?
Just throw in a duffel bag. You know what I mean? Like a branded duffel bag. He made the joke on his show about how he could see one of his interns doing it. And he goes, why'd you put it in a garbage bag? He's like, don't you have like a not Sam duffel bag you could put it in? I mean, and I get that. That's probably the right answer. But nobody in the company and no wrestler has come up with a concept like that. All they say is, I don't want this. I don't like this. Well, what do you want? What's gonna make it right? You know what I mean? Chelsea did get Natty stuff, which is funny. But at the same time, you just had a random fucking dude go in there and do it. Throw stuff in a bag and send it out. And who knows if they were keeping their stuff in their own places or not. You know what I mean? Like, that could have been equally on them as far as, like, this is labeled Chelsea. It's all Chelsea stuff. I'm gonna send it off. As opposed to the idea of being like, I imagine there's not just a pile in the middle of the locker room of everybody's stuff that someone had to sift through.
I don't know. Sometimes I've seen the pictures they take in the locker room, and there's just bags randomly placed. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how their setup is, but there's just a lot we don't know. So
yeah, 100%. They're not telling us. So it's another one of those things where it's all like, okay, you didn't like the way it looked. What do you want it to look like? And it goes, just not that. Would it be fine if it was in a box loose, but not in a garbage bag in a box? Because that's like 2 layers, right? Yeah. Would you have rather they dumped everything into the box loose? Would that be better?
I mean, they probably took it as, they probably seen it in the garbage bag and just took it as, oh, that's just insulting to them, and that was it. That was.
Stackhouse. Woo! Stackhouse in the chat.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was. I think that you're already sensitive. You lost your job. You think that it was a shitty thing to get the call, and then you look down and you see your stuff in a bag that's essentially a garbage bag, and it hurts your heartstrings. I get that. Do you have anything outside of that? I mean, I've worked in a lot of different companies and stuff where like conflict resolution is like part of the deal, and one of the things you ask people right away when they start escalating is, what do you expect? What are you expecting? You know what I mean? What are your expectations here? And what is it going to take to make you happy in your mind right now? We can negotiate after, but your mind has gone somewhere. What do you think is the right thing? If their answer to this, well, it would be nice. I mean, at least give me an answer, right? So if this is how it comes and you say this is unacceptable, what is acceptable then to you? If she'd responded with, I wanted everything ironed and folded neatly, put into a leather briefcase with a padlock on it, I'd say, okay, great. Here's a good place to start. This is why that might not be the right answer, but let's find some place in between, right? But they didn't even give that. It's like, what the fuck do you want? It's hard to say. I'm going to the chat real quick. Jeremy Steven does say, I don't even think Mickey James would get time. There's too many women to potentially give time to that Mickey would really just get lost on the shuffle. I also agree with that. I think that I don't understand contracts, and I don't think that they even talked about if they were offered other contracts or not. She was utilized on some commentary things that I thought was doing great. And I don't know what happened with that, or if they just said, hey, we just don't need you as a talent, and we actually don't have a spot for you on commentary. So take what you've learned here and be free, you know, like.
Although personally, I just as a side note, I would love to see more women commentary. I just think, you know, Beth Phoenix is awesome. And after Renee left, I feel like we really don't have anyone to fill those shoes. And I would have loved if Mickey could have filled that. But who knows if she wanted that, if that was available. There's, you know, a lot we don't know. But that's something I would really hope that they have in their sights.
I mean, we have no idea. No idea. Stackhouse does say you thought that stuff.
Commentary.
Go ahead. What was that?
I said she could have fit well in commentary. When we saw her doing the guest commentary for the what was it? I think it was Takeover, the pre-show. When she was doing that, she was pretty good. Even if she wasn't wrestling, she would have been perfect in commentary. It wouldn't be bad to have more women commentators.
100%. And she was on Main Event for a couple of weeks in a row. She got like back-to-back injuries too. So I think there's also part of it that, I mean, there's probably a lot more to it than we think, right? Because that's another thing. I mean, we'll get to it in a bit, I guess, actually. But yeah, Stackhouse does say he thinks that stuff got blown way out of proportion. I agree too. I think that it got blown way out of proportion. And I think that no one was trying to resolve anything. And her bullshit apology response of like, I wasn't trying to get someone fired, then what were you trying to get done? You never said what you wanted. You wanted everyone to point and scream and say this isn't right, and you gave nothing for the company, but you've turned it into a PR issue. They have to make a PR decision. What do you think they're going to do? If you had texted or called anyone inside the company and said this is what it got and how it made me feel, then maybe there could have been a reprimand. Maybe there could have been another way about it where someone wouldn't have lost their job. I'm not defending the idea that Mark Carrano needs to keep his job. Don't know shit about the guy. Heard a lot of negative things about him. Maybe he needed to get fired regardless. Maybe this was their ticket out. Maybe like, fucking finally, this is something we can latch on to. Maybe. I heard one theory. I thought it was amazing. I said, what if the Mickey James shit's all the work? What if they just desperately needed to get rid of Carrano and they couldn't get anything? So they said, hey, Mickey, your shit's going to show up. It's going to show up in a garbage bag. Throw a fucking hissy fit online. We'll address it.
Other people said they got it too.
Yeah. Do it to everybody. Otherwise, it's too obvious, right?
Okay.
So then say, oh, that's just how the guy runs shop, right? Everyone's getting their shit in garbage bags. But nobody knew about it because it's been happening for a long time. Mickey, blow it up. Make sure people know about it. Then we can do something with that. I love that theory. I don't know if it's true. I don't know shit. I don't like having drinks with you guys.
That's why we're journalists.
So it makes me a wrestling journalist. I don't know. So there was that. The other thing the wrestling community is being dumb about. MLW has been announced to be in a partnership, a working relationship with the WWE. I think that's... Oh, yeah, fucking so excited for Hammerstone. The potential of people going back and forth at all, and... Yeah. Fatu, Hammerstone. We got some options there. But this was fucking released by Inside the Ropes. This is this new magazine that's online. They're just trying to put themselves out there as like a real journalistic thing. And, we're real journalism and we got high integrity. And they're trying to bring back the old days of integrity in wrestling journalism. Their fucking headline was... WWE working with MLW in response to AEW's partnership with Impact. Get the fuck out of here. Get your head out of your ass. You made that up. You made that up. And you look like an idiot.
Stackhouse in the chat saying, I told you Hammerstone would be in WWE. LOL.
Hell yeah, he did. Stackhouse giving a call out. I was rocking my Stackhouse shirt, smoking a cigar the other day. I posted a picture of it. Just to give Stackhouse some love. He's my favorite OK wrestler.
He's our Oklahoma celebrity wrestler.
Yeah, he's out in
Local.
Oklahoma. I made him a shirt that said Stackhouse is okay for Oklahoma. So funny to me. Still makes me giggle when I see him wear it. I love it.
I didn't hear about that.
But yeah, so that's what they were saying. In response to AEW working with Impact. Justin, you been watching wrestling a long time or not a long time?
I've been watching for a long time. 20 plus years.
Hell yeah, dude. So you remember when WWE was working with ECW?
Yes.
Do you remember when they were working with Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Jim Cornette showed over?
No, that I never knew about until like people started bringing it up more often, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah, they did. He worked with Smoky Mountain. They did a whole thing where he brought over, I believe it was the Heavenly Bodies with Smoky Mountain Wrestling to do a little spot, and Jim Cornette showed up in a neck brace because of an angle he was doing in Smoky Mountain, and they wanted him to do like Regis and Kathy Lee, and he was going to be managing Yokozuna. Part of getting him to do the Yokozuna thing was allowing him to bring over the Heavenly Bodies, and when they asked him to do it, he's like, all right, well, I'm wearing a neck brace. And they're like, no, don't wear your neck brace. And he goes, I'm not fucking ruining my angle. I'm wearing my neck brace. And he did, and it's awesome. There's Regis and Kathy Lee, and he's there with it. So they work with Smoky Mountain. They worked with ECW. They worked with NWA. There was a while they brought in the NWA World Titles. The first time I think Jeff Jarrett ever showed up on WWE was with the NWA title because he was crowned their NWA champion. Actually, I think for that event. He wasn't previous to that. But they worked with NWA. They worked with OVW, obviously, famously. They worked with Memphis Wrestling. The Rock will tell you his first match was in Memphis because they were working with the Memphis territory, training people down there. They worked with it's not, was it NJPW or the other big company in Japan? They worked with one of the companies in Japan. They worked with AAA. They've had working relationships with fucking companies for fucking 50 years. This is one of the things they do. Evolve, most famously recently, they ended up, Evolve went bankrupt, so they WWE bought them out. Well, now they don't gotta fucking Evolve anymore.
Plus, I think they're working with Progress also, which is another, I think, UK related company,
yeah.
And they work with ICW, which I'm pretty sure, because why does ICW get shown on the network and Progress gets shown and Evolve gets shown, and so it shows you they do work with other companies. It's just we don't actually like get to see it often, so that's why people go, oh, they don't work with anybody.
Yeah, they don't make it their big storyline and have their big. They don't have Roman go around and take the Evolve Championship and bring it back. You know what I mean? This isn't in response to AEW. This is in response to how they've always done business. And Evolve going out of business. They need another company. And you know what? It's fucking badass they chose MLW, dude. Yes. I think it's awesome.
Very underrated company, and they deserve that kind of recognition. That's why the Vice deal to me was perfect for them.
Mm-hmm. Is that Marquez? Is Marquez related? No.
I don't believe Marquez is related to them. I think he works with those people. And I don't mean like those people as in that company or anything like that. I mean, like, I think the people who work for MLW are people he has worked with in the past and has a relationship. Like, I don't think that it would be a surprise to see Hammerstone show up on any CWF promotion, right? But the idea of WWE getting people ready to get on TV and stuff, and beforehand they show up in MLW and do a run with Davey Boy Smith Jr. or Hammerstone, you know, like, it could be fucking cool. There was a while there where MJF was on both MLW and AEW. Until Tony put a stop to that because he didn't want him to and went back on his word.
Then they wrote him off TV, remember? With Mance Warner. Yeah,
100%. And that was the whole thing, too, with Tony going back on his word and everyone just being like, yeah, but you know, it makes sense when he does it. And fuck, man, relax. Everyone's just doing business, right? But, yeah, what do you think about this overall?
If it's true, and it actually ends up coming to fruition, absolutely all for it. Mm-hmm. If you get some MLW people to show up on NXT, perfect. You get some people from NXT that want to get started, you send them over to MLW, perfect.
Dude, can you imagine Hammerstone versus LA Knight?
Oh, yeah.
My God, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I don't know. That was all the stuff. Are we missing anything there? Missing any things you want to talk about, Justin? Anything you want to chime in there? Anything you thought we missed?
No, I think we're good to move on.
All right.
Do it.
All right. What's going on here? Where'd my fucking thing go? I'm falling apart.
Get some transition music. Dun, 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 dun,
All right. You want to talk SmackDown?
Let's do it.
SmackDown Live opens up with Bianca Belair. What? Shouldn't she be on YouTube or something on her own show? What is she doing on our men's show? That's what it sounds like to me when the IWC says put the women on their own show. So SmackDown's your men's show now. What the hell? This is a man's show. That's what you guys sound like to me. It's my impression of the IWC. Okay, so Bianca comes out. She waves, she kisses, she does the babyface stuff. She's doing a pretty solid job with all that. The Dirty Dogs come out. They talk a little bit of shit. The Street Profits come out. They talk a little bit of shit. And then Bayley comes out. And all of her shit talk is off mic. As she's walking down the ramp, she's all like, "This is my show. I don't care if you're the champion or you main evented WrestleMania. This show still belongs to me. I run this." And as she walks into the ring, she snaps the mic out of Bianca's hand with two hands, like grabs it like a fucking animal, just bah! And then she just grabs the mic and just starts laughing until Bianca gets mad and hits her. I thought
Her
it was so
cackle.
good. Yeah, her
Her
cackle.
cackle's so great.
Cackling. I'm seeing some people, as I'm looking at like responses to the whole thing too, as it kind of goes, and yeah, someone's talking an idiot thing where they're like, "Oh," and then after the break they come back to a 3-on-3 tag match, and like, and how did we know this was going to happen? Because we've watched wrestling, and that's just how it goes. No, because they fucking announced the match a while ago. This wasn't an angle to get a match. These were people coming out for their match who wanted to talk shit before it. Where are you fucking lost, dude? Not everything's a fucking angle. Not everything's a fucking storyline. This is sports entertainment. Sometimes you book matches because two people are going to have a fucking fight because it's a fight show where fights happen. And sometimes there's story that drives that makes bigger fights happen later. Imagine that. Oh my God. You're telling me these people had a fight and they were all ready to fight? What? Yes, I'm telling you that. You're telling me they were ready to fight and they wanted to talk shit to get the other person upset? How does that doesn't what do you mean? How could that ever happen?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Justin. I've gotten
That's
that
great.
line. Justin, what do you think about this opening segment? And you can even go into the match.
I thought it was fine. It's just I do wish they had kind of kept Bayley and Bianca away from each other for a little while, but you know what? They've already gone at it enough, so fuck it. I thought it was good. It got the Street Profits another tag title match. That's my one gripe. It's pretty much given them another title match after they lost the week before and should have been in the back of the line, but now they've just immediately earned another tag title match.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, and this all really stems from Street Profits and Dirty Dogs having heat in general. I think they've done a good job, actually, over the past several months, of keeping animosity between Street Profits and Dirty Dogs and having minimal contact. They've actually done a pretty decent job at that. And then last week, they're having a bit of a spat, and Bayley splits them up so she can talk her shit on Bianca, and that's when Montez sticks his nose where it doesn't fucking belong, dude. Leave her alone. Stay away. And then calls fucking Bianca like a snitch. I'm just kidding. That's fine. Calls Bianca and fucking has her come down here and get face-to-face with Bayley. So that gives heat with the Street Profits and Bayley. It's Bayley being like, fuck that guy. He's a dick. Fucking ratted me out. Called Bianca. Just won't let me talk and let her watch. And then, you know, she's obviously healing around, so she's friends with Dolph and Rude, and they're like, yeah, we don't like them either. Let's all beat the shit out of all of them. Yeah, it sounds fun. You know what I mean? Let's go see if we can make that match happen. Yeah, the story was 2 weeks ago, you dumbasses. This was a fucking argument before a fight that was already planned. Idiots. I'll tell you my problem with the match. Bianca whips Rude in the back with her hair. And the whip was really light, barely connected, didn't make a noise, and it was unnecessary. There was no story with her hair to begin with. What made the whip happen and still be a babyface thing was that the whole story of the Bayley and Bianca, or not Bayley and Bianca, Banks and Bianca match was that Sasha was using Bianca's hair against her so much that it was eventually she used her hair to slap back effectively, you know? That was her snapback or whatever you call it. Not a hat or something. But She did it here and it didn't make the noise. And I saw a lot of people go like, oh, there was a great crack noise. It was clearly piped in audio. No, it wasn't. Her hair makes that noise. I don't know if she's got something in it that when she whips it like a whip, it'll do that crack or whatnot. But it makes that. We've seen it live. And we were 2 rows back. We would have known if it was coming over the speakers or coming from the ring. Yeah. Fucking heard it. When her Shayna match is the one we saw. It's fucking crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's an amazing move, and this undermined it, and it actually solidified people's argument that it's a phony-ass move. And I was like, fuck, she's ruining it for no reason, because this also didn't need to happen. This wasn't a match for stakes or weights. Otis wasn't involved. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, she needs to be careful with overusing the whip. The whip needs to be saved for like actual like needed moments. Don't just whip it out in every match.
Been told that before.
Okay. That's actually what you say. Yeah.
What did I say?
That's what you say about all the newcomers with their special move. You said that about Lacey with the women's right and the flip that she does.
The moonsault, yeah.
That when she doesn't do it as a finish, you would always say that it undermines that.
Yeah, if she doesn't and loses it and doesn't save it for bigger events. I always go back to Shawn Michaels winning the Intercontinental title against Davey Boy. He didn't even do it with a super kick. He didn't even use that the whole match. The super kick for a while was just something he did when he fucking had nothing else left. Like, he didn't know what else to do, and he's going to kick this guy as hard as he fucking can in the head. Yeah, that'll do it. You know what I mean? The idea of having multiple finishes, I think, is what is best. But I do think that actually guys like Shawn are guys that ended up making that go away by starting to get to a point where they did use it every match. Let's see. And I agree with you. Unless she's going full-on heel, where she's going to be whipping motherfuckers left and right, that's a heel shit thing to do. If that's what you're doing, then do it, but it better fucking crack, because you just had it sound like a fucking pillow fight and didn't look like it would hurt fucking anybody. Your hair just kind of tapped him in the back, and he's got to sell that now? Fucking poor Bobby Roode. Kuro's in the chat talking about a place in his town called it has burritos that go to Johnson size, and they're the size of Dwayne Johnson's forearms. I venture to guess it's not his forearm.
Called Johnson size.
Sells burritos in a size called Johnson size, yeah. And I don't think that they modeled it after his forearm, but I do think it was modeled after him.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The people's burrito.
The people's burrito.
The most electrifying burrito in food.
Yeah, in food trucks today. So, I don't know. I did like the match, though, overall. I just didn't like that finish. Let's see. After that, we had... What's the thing else you want to throw in there? But we had Natalya and Tamina versus Nia and Shayna Baszler. Yo, they're going on about making sure Shayna and Nia don't look good and need Reginald.
Yeah, this really isn't hyping up Shayna as this badass that we know her as.
Yeah,
it's bugging me because I really thought she was gonna come in and come on, she's crazy. She bit Becky, and now you have her being this like goofball with Nia. It's just really disappointing.
Yeah, she bit
Nikki. Her whole like she doesn't want to work with Nia, but then she wants to work with Nia thing. It just doesn't make any sense. None.
I don't get it, and I don't like it how Reginald is saving the day every fucking match now.
Yeah.
Of all people who need to be saved by a man, I don't think it's Shayna and Nia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we thought that Ellsworth helping Carmella was the shits at the time, this is like way worse. At least Carmella was a fucking goofy heel who couldn't get the job done otherwise. You just put two murderers together. Literally, their stories are Shayna bit the back of Becky's neck right off and then broke everyone's arm in the Elimination Chamber, so there was no one left for Becky to face at Mania but Shayna. And now she can't win a match without the help of literally someone from Cirque du Soleil flipping and distracting the referee. Nia's whole story at this point is that she injures people. I think half of it's a work. I think half of it's not. I'm going to be honest with you. I think sometimes they lean into that for story. I think they did with Mandy and Dana. I don't think they were both actually hurt. But that's part of the story, is that she's so violent. She hurts people. But she needs Reginald to save the day. And why the fuck is Reginald wearing bootleg Nia shirts, dude? The shirts he wears aren't even sold on their shop. It's like a fucking screen print of a picture of the two of them that he's gotten made at a mall. He's probably got a matching mug.
Yep. Were you gonna say anything else about this match?
I was. I do like that Tamina and Natalya won the match, and I do think they look amazing as a tag team. I thought Tamina's Talking Smack promo was fucking fire. It was amazing. Producer's going to say something about it right now.
Before we get into the promo, about the match itself, I just wanted to say I wish that they would stick with Tamina's badass kick instead of her jumping off the top rope. Because I don't think that paints her as the best in the best light, because you see her legs shaking, you know, and if she's not comfortable with that, there's other stuff that she can do. And let's highlight that.
I think it's unfortunate that her father was Jimmy Snuka, who had absolutely zero fear of dying every time he jumped off the top rope. But she clearly has that fear. That fear's been instilled in her. So it's just obvious every time she jumps. You just go like, she is scared to death. She's going to die right now.
I'm scared for her.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that they got to switch out that. I don't think it's helping. But her promo was fucking fire. I thought the match was solid. Otherwise, I do think Tamina and Natalya are a strong enough duo who have been having fire promos lately on Talking Smack and on the internet. I don't know why they're not doing it on the show, but they're not. I think they could be a legitimate threat as the tag team champions, and I do think that would be amazing for their legacy. I think that they're actually, to me, the most legitimate tag team on either roster right now, as far as the women goes. Mm-hmm. There's other teams that are looking decent. None of them look like they stack up nearly as well to Tamina and Natty overall.
I think it's because the two of them have a reason for wanting to be tag champions. The rest of the teams are just like, we want to be tag champions because we want to be tag champions. These guys want to be tag team champions because they want it for their legacy. Natty wants to do it, like you said, because of her dad. Her dad was a tag team champion. She wants to be a tag team champion. And Tamina's at the point where she's, to me, I feel like it's because of her dad. Everybody has this bad take on Jimmy Snuka because of the whole dark side of the ring thing.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like the now version of what Chris Benoit's son is, like how he's expunged from history. David can't get into wrestling because of his dad, but she's actually in it, and she's trying to prove that she's not like her dad. She doesn't need to have his past hold her down, and that's what I see when I look at Tamina every time. And I really hope that they do win the tag team titles, because like you said, they're the most legitimate team, and they have a reason compared to every other team.
Every other team is, I just want to play with my friends. You know what I mean? They feel like they're just friends. These women feel like women who have a passion to add to their legacy. I can't think of another tag team that's even close to that right now in the women's division.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen Tamina on Talking Smack, you guys should really go check that out, because she just really seemed to just be on fire on the mic. And I just thought, man, you know, I've heard people not like Natty on the mic, and how awesome would that be if you've got one person that's really great on the mic and one person that's this amazing, you know, technical wrestler. I just think that's a great mix.
I agree. I mean, even when you look at NXT, there's not too many legitimate tag teams down there either, to be honest, as far as the women goes. Even Shotzi and Ember. they're only tagged together because they're actually friends in real life and want to be a tag team because they think it's fun. I mean, there's a whole fucking documentary on it. There's a whole, if you go to the WWE PC YouTube, there's a video there called Ember's Law. The whole thing is about Ember Moon. I mean, as nicely as I can say it, if you scope out and look at the story is she did well in NXT, went to Raw, couldn't figure out how to make it, and just wanted to go back to NXT where she could feel comfortable and do what she wanted again because Raw was too hard.
Wow.
So it was too hard. So she goes back to NXT, and she doesn't know what she's doing there either all of a sudden, but she makes friends with Shotzi, and Shotzi makes her feel good, so she just wants to be around Shotzi all the time, so they become a tag team. It's kind of the story, man. I mean, she tells it much better. That's kind of the thing. In the chat real quick, Jeremy says, Tamina's promo was awesome. Best promo she's ever had to date. Yeah, easily. Justin, did you get to see it?
I did, and I thought it was great. She had that the passion in her with what she was saying, and I loved it. And I love Paul Heyman's reaction to it, how he just looks like he's terrified of it the whole time. I'm like, I think that's legit. He legitimately looks like he's scared to death of her, and I love it.
I thought it was amazing. And Kayla was awesome in there too. Kayla at the end of it's like, I don't know what to say, and says like one or two things and says, Paul, what do you think about Tamina? And he just goes, I don't want to talk about Tamina. I don't want to piss her off.
I love that. Yeah,
it was amazing. He's just like, I'm not answering that question. I'm not going to talk about Tamina. If I say the wrong thing, I don't want to deal with that.
I mean, long term, I just think it'd be cool for her to be kind of related ahead of the table, like in some story arc I'd like, but that's somewhere down the line, I hope.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. Can you think of any tag team in that stratosphere that's not just a couple of friends? I'm trying to think of somebody, and I'm not getting one on any of the divisions.
Naomi and Lana.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Like literally, they're a tag team because they both dance together on TikTok. That's why they're a team. Dana and Mandy, same thing. They both work out together.
Riot Squad.
Literally got signed together, became friends in NXT, and that's their whole entire gimmick, and it's all their gimmicks has been for a long time. Even when they split them up, their whole gimmick was that they're not in the Riot Squad. Their gimmick went from being the Riot Squad to being we are not in the Riot Squad to, okay, but we're back to the Riot Squad. They had no gimmick in between. It's fucking weird. So I don't know. That's why I'd like to see Natty and Tamina do it, because outside, and even I'll stretch and say Sasha and Bayley are best friends, yes. When they were a tag team, it felt like more than that because they were trying to build the legacy again. It didn't feel like people just wanting to be a tag team and thinking, wouldn't it be fun if we were champions? Sasha and Bayley wanted to change women's wrestling to the point that tag team divisions could be a viable division to have something worth fighting for, like a championship. And I think that came off. And I think that it comes off when the other women don't. And I think that what Natty and Tamina want is to bring a level of legacy and heritage and prestige to those titles that only they can bring.
And even on Sasha's documentary, I forget if it was which one it was called, but there's one on the network where Sasha said that at a time. Oh no, it was a Stone Cold's. It was a Broken Skull session. She said, when we lost the belts, it didn't get the notoriety. So she kind of looked down at that period of time when she didn't say it outright, but she kind of did that. Hey, they just kind of gave them the belts. Yeah. They gave Ironics. Iconics. Sorry. They gave the Iconics the belts, and it's just pretty much like, well, what did they do with it? Where did it go? And when you think back on that time, yeah, it was just a piece of jewelry. There's no match I can think of that was amazing or really told a story.
The Iconics immediately made it a joke. I said it when it first happened. I was like, I just hope to God they don't turn it into a joke. And then it was a joke. And I was like, God damn it. That's what I said. You're not listening. I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent like that about the women's tag team division. I just think that it deserves Tamina and Natalia. So, sorry, Justin.
No, I agree with you. I really do.
I just don't.
And
like
I wasn't
these people...
the biggest.
Go ahead.
I wasn't the biggest Natty and Tamina fan, but they've gotten me to where I want them to be tag champions. They deserve it more than most teams because just of how dedicated they are to wanting and the reasoning why they want to be champions.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any like backstage segments that we're missing here on it. 'Cause I'm not seeing them. We did have Intercontinental Championship match, Big E versus Apollo Crews. Oh, this was the episode 2 that kept cutting away to who do you think's going to win the main event? Who do you think's going to win the main event? And it would cut to like Booker T and Shinsuke and all that. And those were cool little segments. And I thought it was a cool way to keep the story going on, just know that it's Roman versus Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan might have to leave SmackDown if that's the loss. So it was a cool way to keep that narrative going throughout the show. What do you think of it?
I thought it was good. I liked it. The fact that they were just trying to they were just keeping everything going. Just, who do you think's going to win the championship? Who is Roman going to retain? Bryan going to win it? Just, it worked.
Yeah.
What did you think about commentary, Justin?
I love Pat McAfee on commentary. I really do. Especially during that main event when he call he had when Roman came out. Perfect. I loved it. Pat McAfee is great. And like I said, I didn't expect less from him. If he's that good, if he can talk his ass off on his own show, how can he not do commentary? That's all I can think of.
And I love his commentary comes off like a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like beyond a sports commentator, he sounds like a sports fan. He jumps up, he stands there. He'll just stand ringside for a while because he's not even barely watching the monitors. Where all the wrestling people will tell you, watch the monitor. You're recounting what's on the monitor. Pat McAfee's all like, it's right there. I can see it. Get up. Jeremy does say real quick before we talk about that, I've never been into Natty and Tamina, but their story and their passion since becoming a tag team has changed that. 100%, dude. And I love that you guys are noticing that you're seeing that. Because I think a lot of people who were static on Natty and Tamina, and I think that there's a lot of reasons why you could be, and I'm not going to argue on why you should or shouldn't have been a fan for longer or anything like that. I'm glad that people are starting to see that. Their work, their passion, their ability to push their story and who they are. I'm glad people are starting to see that shine through because I still see people who are just all like, nope, don't like them, boring. Oh, I see Natty, I turn it off. And I'm like, you aren't watching. You've decided before you've turned on the segment if it's going to be a good one or not. You're not allowing yourself to enjoy the show. And that's a problem.
They're actually giving you a reason to root for them.
Yes, 100%. This is where they had the Aleister Black promo where he was talking about his dad. He was talking about the people who were trying to go for the facade, their path to happiness and success, basically a brooding high schooler, and then getting in the car with his dad and driving away kind of a deal. What do you think about this Aleister Black storyline as we're going?
I don't know what it is, but I love it. I'm just interested to see where it's going. The stories are just... I'm an Aleister Black fan. I've been since NXT. It doesn't matter what he does. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, got me interested. And now he's doing this weird, he's reading dark cult stories and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, well, now I'm definitely interested. It looks like we're about to get a darker version of Aleister Black, which is really interesting to me.
I think what we're finally getting is an Aleister Black with any kind of purpose or any sense of backstory, right? Because before, you've been interested in Alistair strictly because he looked different than everybody else. He moved different than everybody else. His entrance, his flips, his sitting in the ring, the fact that Corey Graves would say that he kicked people's heads off back in Amsterdam or some shit. You were interested for very face level things, I think. And I don't think that's wrong, but I think that's why he works in NXT, because I think the NXT audience sees something and judges it by looking at it. Where I think that larger audiences want to know more about it before they're invested. They go, okay, he looks cool, but what? You know what I mean? But why? Aleister Black never came up with any of that in NXT. When he came up to Raw, he had a really hard time. He did that pick a fight with me bullshit, which made no sense in a competitive atmosphere, and we ripped him to shit on the show here. You can go back all the way to episode 1. There's his whole pick a fight with me. Fucking
noises
bullshit.
in the mic.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful, and it was stupid. And who the fuck are you? He just showed up, and he goes, I'll be sitting here in this fucking closet, locked away, pick a fight with me. And everyone else is like, or I'll just go to the ring and fight a champion for their title. See ya. Because it didn't fucking matter. Why would anyone pick a fight with him? You're nobody. You haven't proven anything. What I wanted for Aleister Black when he got to the main roster, I wanted him to take the 24/7 title.
Oh, God.
And legit sit there and let people come up to him and just fight people for it all the time. I'd be like, that'd be fucking sick. They didn't do it, though. I didn't want him to do it as a comedy thing. I wanted him to do it as a serious, I have this title because it makes people want to fight me all the time. I was like, that would be fucking sick.
Yeah, I was not a fan of him sitting in the broom closet thing. I'm just going to sit back here and smell floor cleaner and all this other stuff while you go, and then just while I wait for you to knock on my door. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, fuck that shit.
And why would they? You're nobody. And I don't mean you're nobody in a bad way. I mean you're nobody and you haven't established who you are, because you are somebody that people should want to defeat. But you have to establish that first. You just locked yourself in a closet and everyone just went, okay, that's weird. But now we're getting a really cool backstory with Aleister Black. We're getting personality. We're getting something to him. We're getting something that we can latch onto and say, this actually makes sense. Because there was promos he was cutting somewhere in between all that that just didn't make any fucking sense. He sounded like the Ultimate Warrior, but slow. It's dated. You know? It's a dated Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, God.
But I really like what they're doing with him. I love the animation. I know it's weird when you really kind of look at it, because you're like, is there like a fucking animation on a wrestling promo? Like, definitely doesn't make it feel not pre-taped. You know what I mean? But like,
they did it with Tian Shaw.
And I loved it with Tian Shaw too.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bummed they brought her back just because I was like, damn it. I was hoping that she would have been the key to whatever's going on with Aleister Black, and they could just be a fucking badass faction of creepy motherfuckers.
Faction.
Can you imagine if they all came out with swords?
Oh, shit.
So fucking cool. Aleister doing the making Drew's stupid entrance where he drops it down into a mud pit look like an idiot.
It was all crooked.
Yeah.
Sometimes doesn't go in at all.
No, he pushes it into some sort of sponge or mattress. He comes out literally with, this is the sword that Vince McMahon's letting me borrow. Fucking idiot.
Damn it, I was expecting a Drew fucking impersonation here.
Yeah. Ugh. Fucking macking for it. But let's see. Okay. Big E had a promo before his match with Apollo Crews, which ended when Big E looked like he was about to win it. It was actually a really good match, I thought, building up to that moment. And then Commander Aziz pulls Big E out, starts beating the shit out of him. Match gets called. Kevin Owens comes running out to beat the shit out of Aziz, but then Sami Zayn comes out and helps beat the shit out of Kevin Owens. And then there was this whole moment where Sammy's got the IC title, and Apollo and Commander Aziz are like, fuck you, dude. And he goes, dude, no, it's chill. Fucking relax. And then ultimately, I believe they gave the Nigerian nail to Sami Zayn too, who just fell over dead.
Mhm.
What do you think about all this? I like the dynamic of Owen, Sammy, Apollo, and Big E, and I really like what Commander Aziz is bringing to it. It's all a little bit weird, but I really think it's working right. It's working well for me.
It was definitely a smart idea to put him with Apollo. That's for sure. It's working for him. But like Biggie and Apollo, when they fight each other, they have really good chemistry together. It always seemed like the match always goes good, but every time they have a match together, it always ends in some kind of shittery like going on. I don't get it. But Big E getting his rematch again, it's another one of those situations of I'm the guy who's gonna constantly say it all the time, the no antiquated rematches. So Big E's getting his rematch there, but I was like, all right, you know what? I get it. He's getting his rematch. And match was good. And then now it just feels like you took Owens and Zayn, who are still going at it since WrestleMania, where Mania should have been the end for them. And now you're keeping that going. And then you just merged the two feuds together and said, okay, IC title. There you go. It's a weird situation, but I think it'll work.
I think it is a little weird. I do think that it's a little weird that it's where Sammy's documentary ended, and now he's just obsessed with Kevin Owens again, which I do think is a cool way to go, because it almost was like WrestleMania really kicked off their feud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the show that should have been the end of their feud is kind of what started their feud. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, reignited it for sure. I think that part of the reason why Apollo and Big E are getting very few definitive wins on each other is because I think that that's a method of elevating the talent when you think about it. Instead of constantly saying, yep, Apollo can never beat Big E, you get Apollo up to a level where it's anyone's guess. It's a coin toss. You've brought Apollo up where he seemed like a jobber for a while, and Big E was beating him, and even gets in his face and says, I've beat you several times. You don't deserve another shot. And Apollo, in character, stepped up and got on the level of Big E to where now you don't know if he can win or lose on his own. You don't know. It's anyone's guess. And I think if you have a bunch of definitive wins all the time, it really sets it in to either 50-50 booking, which is just a little more face value, and gets it into more of an interesting conversation of, you know what, we haven't had a lot of definitive wins, but I don't know if I know who could win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a play
I
on
think
your
now that you put Sammy and Kevin Owens in there, it makes it a little more like, oh, now is Kevin going to take it? Is Sammy going to get it back?
And what is that going to mean for them, for Apollo and Big E, if they do? Is this rivalry truly about the title, or is it about something more? And you only really find that out when the title gets moved. You know?
Yeah, which makes sense.
I think that people's problems with Schma's finishes is they misunderstand what it means when you say wins and losses matter. Because it's not actually a ranking system, and it's not actually statistics. They matter in that if you're winning a lot on TV clean, you're a dominant person. If the matches keep getting schmozzed up, then there's chaos around your whole scene, which leads to more matches having to escalate which is a little weird that you get to a point where, I mean, they already got to the point where they had the Nigerian drum match. You've already escalated it. Now you brought it back down to regular matches, and now you're going to re-escalate it again. But by having all the messy finishes, you have a scenario where now you can have some of these gimmick matches and stuff, where you bring in the importance of a Hell in a Cell, or the importance of a cage or a kendo stick or something, you know? It just adds to the fire.
I wouldn't be against them in Hell in a Cell, that's for sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me one bit. Absolutely. And I do think that Owens and Zayn being like a peripheral part of this story, because they seem to be revolving. Like KO has an issue with Commander Aziz, doesn't even have an issue with Big E or Apollo. and Sammy just has a fucking. He's got a vendetta against KO again, and that's just it. I don't think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will ever be done with each other. And in my mind, the perfect ending is for them to retire each other in some sort of dual retirement match deal.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if they did a legitimate retirement match, and they pulled one of those really silly Ric Flair old school? They both fall down with one arm across each other.
I was just about to say that. That would be hysterical to say.
I'd probably cry. I would just cry. I'd be like, it's
I
poetic.
wouldn't. I'd be like, oh my God, they actually did it.
Yeah. Like that Shia LaBeouf where he just stands up like clapping with that super serious look on his face. That'd be me.
I mean, it would make sense though that way, because it's they literally went all out on each other, and neither one could retire the other, so they just retired each other, and it would just make sense.
Oh my God, it would be fucking poetry. All right. Moving on. God damn, dude, that does bring us to the end. I don't see any other segments here. They did all those little things. They had probably a couple of interviews here and there that I'm missing in my mind. Oh, they had that fucking Nia and Shane in the back before the match, and Natty and Tamina came over there and just like shoved them into the fucking things and then went to the fucking ring. I was like, fuck yeah. Fucking bad bitches. So we end up now, and this was a long match, dude, and this was a fucking WrestleMania caliber match. This was incredible. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship and the right to stay on the island of relevancy. Right?
Acknowledged.
What'd you think of all this?
Do we start with the new music? My
Hell
God.
yeah, you can start with the new music.
It surprised the hell out of me, and I loved it. As soon as I was scrolling through Twitter while I was waiting, because when Brian came out, I was like, all right, we're probably going to a commercial. So I started scrolling through Twitter just to see what the fuck was going on. But they didn't go to a commercial, and all of a sudden I heard the freaking like opera beginning, and I'm like, I just kind of slow looked up at the screen, and I just waited a few seconds, and then it kicked in, and I'm like, oh my God, he got new music.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, he got it. And I just kept saying it over and over, and I was like, oh my God, they finally did it. I couldn't stop. It just surprised the hell out of me. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I really wish it was at WrestleMania though, where they had done it. It would have been the perfect timing just to see how that crowd would have reacted with that music playing, of him just coming out, the I don't give no fucks, fucking just emotionless stare on his face, that music playing, the crowd booing him. It would have been great, but it was a good way to debut it anyway. Even if it wasn't at WrestleMania, it was still good.
Part of me thinks that they may have not done it at Mania because people probably would have cheered.
Damn.
Think about it. I mean, I would have. If I was there the day that they announced, the day someone comes out with new music, I'm losing my shit.
Oh.
So it may have.
Pat McAfee's call too.
What was his call?
No, that was great.
What did he say?
He came as he was coming out. He's like flanked by Paul Heyman. He's like, this is the man who's put 15 extra pounds of muscle since he was like 3 years old to be bred to be the head of the table of the WWE. And I'm like, Pat, you can stop with the fucking epic calls here because I'm not ready for these.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I can't wait for
was
to be part of the video package.
It was so good. I was like, my God, Pat McAfee, you could just put him on commentary by himself. I'd be fine.
I think sometimes Michael Cole thinks that Pat McAfee thinks he's by himself. Yeah, he's amazing. He's just absolutely amazing at that. And yeah, I loved the music itself. I really did. But I also felt like it made the weird graphic with him doing the woo-ah in a t-shirt and the Roman Empire logo behind him stand out that much more.
Mm-hmm.
Those gotta go. I don't know what you do to replace the Roman figure. I almost wonder if you just do something sort of like the Usos where it's all the tribal stuff. Because he's the head of the table. I was thinking it'd be dope if they just made a huge AI of just a big table and he's sitting on one side of it.
That would be awesome, actually. I would love to see that. Just him in a chair at the end of the table, just arms crossed, just sitting there at the table. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
You could even have him just sitting there with since he has the no shirt, you could just have him sitting there with the lei around his neck.
Yeah. That'd be dope. But Roman Empire's got to go. That's got to say head of the table or something. What already says head of the table behind him, right?
Yeah, it has the head of the table and that, like, the little section down at the bottom.
Yeah.
There.
So it's got to say something like tribal chief.
Yeah.
Not Roman Empire with a fist.
Yeah.
You didn't even do that shit. You guys relax. So I think that's got to go. But yeah, you know what else they do, and I kind of forget about it from time to time. But then when I see it, I can't stop seeing it throughout the whole match. They do something different with Roman's matches than anybody else's matches, and that's all the lights up at the stage are glowing yellow and pointing up towards the sky at an angle. So it's just this golden shimmer across the sky around the whole arena while Roman's wrestling. They don't do that with anybody else, and I think it's one of those just fine-tuned touches that WWE Productions puts on.
It sounds like it's the pure definition of everything he touches turns to gold thing, as everyone keeps saying.
Oh yeah, that's why he's got that gold glove, dude. The one gold
If the
glove.
Universal title was gold.
I saw some people speculate about the idea of what it would look like with a gold strap. I like it.
I did too. So. It looked really good.
Yeah. What did you think of the match overall? I thought this match was fucking amazing, dude. And it was amazing. Excellent. It was on TV. And it wasn't a big pay-per-view thing. It just was what it was. And it was... This wasn't Roman having an easy time with Daniel Bryan. This was This was the match I think that we've all always wanted from the two of them. And never quite got. This was like the masterpiece the two of them could put on. I don't know if these two could put on a better match than what they did.
You know, they have unbelievable chemistry together. Since their Fastlane match, they've been the two of them together they're just great. And then this whole feud, it just gets better and better every time.
I agree. It's just fucking awesome. So I got nothing. I mean, I don't know what to say about this other than it was an incredible match. Daniel Bryan does not pull out the victory in a definitive win, which I loved. There was a definitive win, and then that's when it went off the rails, where Jay came out and got involved because of Cesaro. Cesaro came out to stop Roman from crushing Daniel Bryan's head, and the tomfoolery happened after the match was over. And it was a concerto, and I don't think that was an accident. I think that was a message. I think we're getting back to some one-on-one Roman and Edge stuff. And I think all that goes back to, I think that this was a little bit of one of those instances where WrestleMania was another launching point. We'd mentioned it even here, I believe it was on episode 1, that with doing a triple threat of Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman means that you leave WrestleMania with Roman, Daniel Bryan, and Edge, and any collection of those matches leading forward into SummerSlam. I think the bummer is that we got Daniel Bryan so early. But I think that, like we said, going into Mania, sometimes I think you do the match because you can fucking do the match. And when is there ever going to be a time before or since that we could have gotten to a place of doing Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman and have it actually make sense, but be able to get them to do it? You know?
Yeah, I just don't know where Bryan goes from here at all. It's either he goes to Monday Night Raw, he goes to NXT. I know there was a fucking report that I read where supposedly Bryan was in discussion to try to still be signed to WWE but work with other companies at the same time. And I'm just like, I don't see Vince or anyone there allowing him to go anywhere else like that. It's either he's gonna end up on Raw, or he's gonna go down to NXT and have some freaking dream matches for everybody, and there you go.
I mean, I do think that NXT has a real indie feel to me, but I think there's a couple things about Daniel Bryan, right? So when Daniel Bryan first got re-signed to WWE as the American Dragon after he left NXT,
yeah,
and he was that surprise comeback at SummerSlam, he had, because they had surprised him and called him with the thing, he was like, well, the problem is with me signing and coming back for that is I have all these indie dates that I'd booked out months out. And the deal they had was that he would come back and do all their TV stuff, but he not only could, but should, and do whatever he can to make all those dates. So there was times he was doing like 2 or 3 shows in a week outside of what he was doing for WWE, just doing a bunch of indie stuff. So I do think there's a little poetry there too with the idea of Daniel Bryan saying, can we go back to that schedule, because some of that was pretty fucking cool. I also think Daniel Bryan's a lunatic. He's a crazy person who wants to have every wrestling match that's possible to have. He's that genius and passionate about it that I don't think that he sees someone who has a style that people may or may not like, and all he sees is, that's a match I haven't had. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think that it's absolutely in the realm that because he's made all the money, because he's made all the moments, because he's solidified himself in the zeitgeist of WWE and the Hall of Fame career, if you don't give him that contract that allows him to flurry about, but with a little bit of reins on it, then you risk just flat out losing him. He just won't resign, you know? And I don't know if he's the type of name you don't want associated with your company. I think Daniel Bryan's the type of name you always want associated with your company. So I think that maybe you find a middle ground. Maybe you're like, hey, you don't do TV spots, you don't do this show, you can't do this one, but you do these, you do that. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe there's a possibility where they can both be happy. Daniel Bryan said it in a meet and greet, I think, and that's where the video that was floating around. Someone asked him about what's next, and he said something along the lines if he really wanted to, or they asked him something along the lines of who he respected outside of WWE, and he was just fucking going on. And he was saying that he wanted to wrestle this guy in this small promotion in Mexico. He wanted to wrestle this guy over in Japan. He wanted to wrestle in Kenny Omega and all this stuff. So it's like, if you don't give him the opportunity to do those things with your company, he's going to just wait till he's done with the company and go do those things. Maybe you find a middle ground. Hey, you can do Kenny versus Daniel Bryan, but it's going to be at one of the AEW house shows. You know what I mean? Maybe you're not allowed to do it on a pay-per-view. And I think if you're AEW, you do everything you can to get it on a pay-per-view. Maybe they say you can do it, but it's got to be in an Impact ring. I don't know. Maybe that there's a way where they can both be happy. But he said he's trying to weasel himself into a contract with WWE that allows him to work other companies.
It almost gives me Jericho vibes then if that happens, because I'm pretty sure wasn't Jericho still signed with WWE the first time he went to Japan? So, and he got permission from Vince to go there and do that. So I'm pretty sure if Bryan can work something out, it could happen. We could see him go to other places like that, as long as he gets the permission.
Yeah, I think
I just don't see him. I don't see them not like.
We'll be on this.
I don't see them having him like just let his contract run out and letting him go. There's no way they're letting him go.
I just can't see why you wouldn't do everything you can to keep a guy like Daniel Bryan. I think he's so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could run some shows with him in NXT. You could make him your North American title holder for a while and let him run some stuff there. Like, you can do all sorts of cool shit. I just think that the possibilities with a guy like Daniel Bryan is so endless. You do what you can to keep him, whatever that's going to be. But I think that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that this just means he goes to Raw, because if he goes to Raw, where does he fit in? You know? I don't give a shit to see him and Drew McIntyre. I don't.
unless Lashley retains and he beats Lashley.
I think it'd be interesting, but I don't want Lashley to lose it right now. I think that
either.
the move is to double down on Bobby. I think that's the move at WrestleMania Backlash. You double down on Bobby, and you let Braun and Drew McIntyre have a program of some sort, and you let Bobby move on with somebody else. I don't know.
My only hope for Bobby is that they give him a nice long run, and during that run, it ends up being him and Lesnar, and he beats Lesnar in the process, and then you can take it off him.
Yeah.
That's really my only hope for that. Because my only one concern is that we're going to get Lesnar taking the title off of Lashley, and I don't want that. I don't want another Brock Lesnar championship reign. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of Brock Lesnar reigns because I'm tired of freaking him not being on TV for 8 months, comes back for like a day, he's off TV for another 6, wrestles a freaking match, and then disappears again. Like, no. Somebody on Twitter literally went through this whole debacle of why is it okay that Roman wrestles, like, this was apparently his like 8th singles match, I guess, the one that he had with Bryan. And it was like, I don't even know, it was like either his 8th or his 4th or something like that. And it was like, why is it okay if Roman does this, but it's not okay for Brock? Because, and my answer is always going to be because Brock's not here all the time. At least Roman, even though he doesn't constantly wrestle 24/7, he's still here every week, unlike Brock. Brock isn't here every week.
Roman has a way now of establishing himself as important and dominant without having to have a match.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he carries himself and the way that he talks. Brock doesn't have that ability. Brock can only establish himself as dominant, as important through violence because he is that beast. So when he shows up, he has to get physical with people.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that adds a layer to Brock in that when you see him, you know shit's about to get violent, and there's an excitement there when you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I also think that part of Brock Lesnar's charm, if you will, is that it works a lot of the times. I don't have a problem with Brock Lesnar coming in and defending the title 6 or 7 times in a year, or sometimes a little less, because it means something. Because you have an entire roster of people week to week trying to figure out how you even get to that level. You know what I mean? And they're building themselves to a level where somebody can then go try to defeat the beast. Problem is it didn't work with Seth. When Seth won, it was supposed to make him, and it didn't. When Drew won, it was supposed to make him, and it sort of did because there was no crowd. But I'll be honest, I don't think a crowd would completely love the idea. I'm starting to see people to get on the train here. So let's do this. Let's move on to Raw and say your final piece about Roman and Daniel Bryan. What do you think? Anything else that you wanted to say about where Daniel Bryan goes from here?
No, I don't know where it is, but I'm looking forward to wherever he ends up.
And do you think that Edge comes back in a bit and does something with Roman?
Unless he's his WrestleMania Backlash opponent. That was my one thought, was sometime in the next like week or so, Edge is going to come back. I don't see them just jumping to Cesaro. If they were willing to, hold off Cesaro to go with Daniel Bryan, it wouldn't surprise me if Edge comes back and they put Edge and Roman at WrestleMania Backlash.
I could see that, and then getting to SummerSlam where it's Cesaro and Roman, and really build Cesaro as important over the next couple weeks here. Keep having shit get in his way. Now Edge has jumped the line too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Good guy Cesaro just keeps letting it happen, and then eventually it gets to a point where it's all like, no, I'm fucking tired of this. I am the opportunity.
No, let's not even go there yet.
So, I agree with you. I do think that we get to Edge Roman next, I think. And I'm really excited to see what happens either way, to be honest. I just want more Daniel Bryan, and I don't know where he goes from here that makes sense. But the thing with Daniel Bryan is nothing about him leaves anything off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he couldn't pop up anywhere that would make me say, well, that doesn't make any sense. No matter where he popped up, I'd go, of course. Of course this is where Daniel Bryan ended up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, all right, well, let's talk Raw. Let's get to Raw. Here's one of the things people have been talking about. I've seen it. I've heard it.
Heard it.
Yeah. Was I just talking about something else, too, on the line I saw? I don't know. People who talk about, and we've done it, it seems like Raw and SmackDown are written by completely different companies, the way they seem so different. One of the things that comes up all the time is people say, well, Raw is 3 hours and SmackDown's 2. End of story. That's the discussion. That's what makes it so different. It's much easier to write a compelling 2-hour show than it is to do a 3-hour show. Do that, I say AEW is not even capable of doing that for 2 hours. But the other thing that I noticed, because I rewatch these on USA or Fox, and it'll give you the timestamps without the ads, because the ads are broken in by the app automatically.
Okay.
Those shows are only about 20 minutes difference in time. Once commercials hit, there's almost an hour of commercials on Raw. Throughout the 3 hours. And I wonder if that just fucks up pacing when you have that many commercial breaks. And because you're sitting through that many commercial breaks, and especially if you're watching live, for 3 hours to see 2 hours worth of programming, that's why it feels like it's dragging ass, because it is. We made 2 hours last for 3 hours.
Huh?
Literally. Are you still there?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, yeah, the show, it just feels like it's dragging half the time because of all the fucking commercials.
Now, I also agree. There's something about the stories and the characters that seem a little bit more flat than SmackDown. I think that part of that is, like I said, the subtlety that I think a lot of the wrestlers bring to it. I don't know if you've been listening to any of my episode 1s lately, but I've been saying that I think we are too lenient when we say consistently as a fandom, well, it's not the fault of the wrestler. I think sometimes it is the fault of the wrestler. And I think that what sets SmackDown apart, what makes it truly different, are the wrestlers. They're bringing a level of passion and subtlety that is not on Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Bailey. The way that they act with their eyes, with their little movements, the way that Seth the other week was standing off to the side, barely in camera frame, but knew he was in camera frame, so he responded to every line that every single person said around him, one way or another. You don't see that shit on Raw. You see people just stand there with the head down and wait, and then they do their shit. You saw it in the opening segment with Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're too lenient when we say, oh, no, the wrestlers just do their best, and the writers are always in their way. And I also think that it's bullshit when we say the problem is the wrestlers are scripted. I don't believe that's the problem. I think the problem is the wrestlers have to be scripted. There's not enough people there who can do it without a script. Because there's a number of wrestlers who've talked about on their podcast how they're not scripted. They're never scripted because they're trusted to cut a promo. These people are keeping their training wheels on because they don't know how to ride a fucking bike still. And it comes off. And you're giving the excuses and the blame on everyone but the people riding the bike. I want Raw to step up.
It does. Something needs to be done because it's so repetitive. Raw just is so repetitive. It doesn't. Nothing feels different. It always feels the same.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that it's a 3-hour show that uses an hour's worth of commercials to drag it on. So if you guys are already not bringing that, I think you could turn SmackDown into a 3-hour show and no one would notice because the wrestlers are bringing all the stuff. But Producer had something she wants to say.
Yes. I did want to mention that when we saw the Orton special on Broken Skulls, he actually did mention how he himself recognized that he wasn't as amazing on promos, and he actually worked on it himself. So I think it takes that recognition of, hey, I could be better, and let me work on this. And then I go to recently, I don't remember which article it was, but I did see that Rhea Ripley is starting to take some acting lessons, and I thought that's awesome because, not only does it build confidence, but you really do get to learn how to speak from a character standpoint, and that's not stuff that you're just going to be amazing at. Even as Randy's has spoken freely about.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, from building confidence, is I think that taking a class like that, if you don't know what you're doing, helps break down the confidence because overconfidence will kill you. And I think that that's part of the problem with 15 years on the indies, because I've seen people wrestle in some of my local places, and those people 100% think they are as good as anybody on WWE, and they are trash, and their ego is stopping them from getting better because they already think they're masters, and they try to talk to other people like they need to look up to them because they've been doing this 6 years, but they look like they've been doing it for 2 weeks, and they're not willing to look in themselves and get better at it. You know what I mean? Because they've already mastered it. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Trust me, I'm a professional. No, you're not. You're not getting paid on this show. You're not a professional. You're goddamn open mic. And I think that bleeds over. I think once you've done it for 15 years and you become the king shit in whatever podunk fucking city in whatever country you're in, it can go to your head, and it's going to take the right kind of mentality to be like, no, I'm not great at this. I did the best I could in my city, and I'm willing to get up here and become great at this. And I don't think a lot of people look in that way. I really don't.
Yeah, I just thought for Rhea, I was like, wow, to get on the main roster and to have the belt, to have that spotlight on you, and then to think, I honestly kind of like, wow, I'm lucky to be here. Like, I better step it up. Awesome. Totally respect that.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin? Am I being too harsh on the wrestlers?
No, it makes sense. You can't just go in there and have like nothing and go, yeah, I'm hot shit. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, Randy's actually taking the time to improve himself. Rhea's going out to improve herself. You can't just go in there and go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with me. I've never had any issues. I'm the perfect fucking wrestler. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
It is not an accident that people keep saying it feels like Randy Orton is doing the best work of his career right now. It's because he's actually doing the best work of his career right now. Because 2 years ago or so, about a year ago, I think it was, early on in the pandemic, he said he realized that he was not very good at promos, and he had always accepted that as just part of his thing. Yeah, I just don't do that very well. I do the rest. And he only in the last year said, there's no reason why I can't be good at that, except for me just accepting that I'm not, and I no longer accept that. And he stepped it up, and he figured it out. I don't know if he took classes or what, but I do think that it's not an accident that all of a sudden everyone's saying this feels like the best work of his career, because it fucking literally is. He's applying himself on a different level. People saying the same thing about Edge.
And Roman.
Yeah, Edge and Roman. They both have gone through a bunch of acting, character developing skills and classes and stuff. Edge while he was away. Roman while he got new teeth. He's on Fast and Furious and stuff, talking to his buddy The Rock, Maybe you heard of him. But they're reaching out for advice and stuff, and that's something Roman's talked about, reaching out to advice from The Rock on how to get to that next level. How does he dig deep to get into a character? The reason that they're all doing the best work of their career right now and it just, quote, seems weird because they've been around so long, is because that they've all taken the time now to say, I can actually be better at this. But it's going to take applying myself. And a lot of wrestlers for years just say, I'm already here because I'm so good. Just do what got you to the dance. I'm perfect. And you're just good enough. But you can be better, you know?
Yes.
And I'm not reading Drew's fucking book. Drew's got the fucking book. I'm not reading it. Someone had the book. I was on a Zoom chat with somebody who had the book and was like, come on, you don't feel bad for the guy, at least? I mean, some of these things, he wins the title in front of nobody. He wins the NXT title, hurts his arm right away. You know, he wins the WWE title in front of nobody. He finally gets his comeback, and it's on the opening match, and he loses. And I was like, I don't feel bad for him for one fucking second. He's like, why? And I was like, well, for one, everyone's been telling me to pity him since he got there. I'm not here to have a fucking pity party. Show me why you deserve to be doing something else. And I was like, secondly, as he was flipping through the book, he was showing me all these pictures from the book. And I was like, he was like, look, here he is with this championship. Here he is wrestling here. And here he is with this title. Here he is over this title. I was like, is his family in there? And he's like, here's one of his wife when they got married. And it was right next to him with the NXT title. And I was like, the whole fucking thing is all like, look at how amazing I am as a champion. I'm the greatest. All right, well, you're overcompensating for something. One fucking picture of his goddamn family and a bunch of pictures with him in belts. Fucking relax. So it does open up. I mean, that's all I'm saying is that I've heard a lot of that discussion happening lately. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. And I was like, when is it their fault? Because we've been saying for a long time it's not their fault, and they're not getting better. The writers keep changing, and they're the same suck. You know?
I will say that even when legends point something out about someone on the main roster, they just get attacked by all their fans. And it's like, well, are they ever allowed to give any critique? I mean, is anyone? Jeez.
Nope, critiquing is bullying.
No, wrestlers cannot take any sort of critique anymore. They are so... It's either their way or the highway, and that's it.
It's weird, man. It's weird, and it takes a long time before they suddenly get fucking humbled and start doing RKO stuff, or they get fucking forgotten in the mix of it all. Then you get fucking podcasts with Conrad saying, whatever happened to this guy? Why didn't it work out? And then fucking Bruce just goes, I don't know, I guess he didn't have it. I think what it is that drive to be the best and to be willing to sacrifice. Did you see the Stone Cold A&E biography, Justin?
Yes.
Goddamn, did you cry like a little bitch? Did you cry?
No.
You fucking cried.
I enjoyed that. That was...
No,
I'm serious. No. I didn't.
It's all right. It's all right. We all cried.
The only documentaries, WWE, like any wrestling related documentaries I cried during was like the Owen Hart one on Dark Side of the Ring and the Chris Benoit one with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. The Pillman one's supposed to be pretty amazing. That's just come out too. It's supposed to be the conversations with his son. It's supposed to be pretty tugging on the heartstrings too. But what I was noticing about Stone Cold in that, and Paul even talked about it, the amount of sacrifice that happened. Stone Cold talking about the distance that was built between him and his daughters. And it really feels like there's another one of those examples where people are all like, the WWE doesn't know how to make stars. The WWE would never make a star bigger than the business again. They did it with The Rock. They did it with Stone Cold. They did it with John Cena. They did it with Roman. They did it with Becky. They'll never do it again. I think the reason is not that they aren't willing to. It's what it takes to. I think it's a sacrifice a lot of people are not willing to take. I think if you told Kevin Owens he could be as big as Stone Cold, but you're going to have to live the life that Stone Cold lived, and you're not going to be able to see your family much, I don't think he's going to take it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the sacrifices that it takes for Stone Cold or Cena I mean, Rock only did it for what, 6 or 7 years? It was like 6 years. That was Rock's entire wrestling career was 6 years long. Because he couldn't sacrifice anymore.
And wasn't that how long was Becky like in between wrestling when she was studying acting and being a waitress and being a flight attendant? Like, you know, there was
like
a
5 or
period.
6 years where she was away.
Yeah, there was a period of, you know, self-doubt and just how am I gonna live on this? And that self-doubt brings something to the table, brings a spark, and I don't know.
And the thing is the Rock and Stone Cold were shake and bake, dude. They had each other to feed off of. They both were willing to make those sacrifices to be that big, to be the tide for each other. Becky didn't have that on her level. So when she was on that level and doing that and sacrificing, and it got to the point where she's looking at the sea of people being like, there's a lot of potential here, but there's no fucking shake and bake. There's no number 2. And then the opportunity to have a family comes up. It's kind of now or never. It's either you just say, I guess I'm not going to be having a family for quite some time and be the number 1 forever. Or you say, maybe it's okay I step away for a bit and do this because there's no number 2. Maybe it'll give them the opportunity to build a new number 1. The opportunity. The opportunity. So I don't know. I don't know. But I do think that I think a lot of these people have overconfidence. They don't have the willingness to sacrifice on the level those people did. And they think that if they just act like them when they're there, that's enough. And I don't think that it is. I think there's a reason that they're set apart. I really do. Am I way off? Am I being a dick, Justin? Am I just on one tonight?
No, it makes sense, like, completely. It's just there's a time when people know when to, like, step away, time for, like, people that know when it's time to start building people up. It's just how it is. It's not anything, not everyone's going to get that freaking rub, and that's just how it is.
Let's go through Raw. We're not going to talk about every single segment, I don't think. At least not all the way. But it did open up with one of those little segments that was all like, earlier today, because they had announced on their email and stuff, they're all like, Bobby Lashley is either going to go up against Braun Strowman or Drew McIntyre. And then they're all like, hours ago. And I was like, why didn't you just fucking announce the match when you knew it then? Like, what the fuck? It was just weird to me. So it said earlier today, and it was MVP and Adam Pearce are there, and like, we're going to just flip a goddamn coin. And I was like, great. This is an awesome way to make a decision. I'm glad we waited to be on live TV to show what you guys did at noon when it was the fucking coin flip. You could have just tweeted about it.
It's like that's like if they just stuck Braun and freaking Drew's name in a hat. Those two names in a hat, and we're like, here you go, we're going to pick one.
Yeah, they literally could have pin the tail on the donkey and had 2 sides. One was Braun and one was fucking Drew. So MVP looks at the quarter because he's all like, I just want to check and make sure it's real. And then Drew comes walking in. Oh, what's he looking at the quarter? Oh, you got to look at the coin. Look at the coin. Look at the coin. You're like, what are you, fucking stupid? Yes, he's looking at the coin. Relax. Like, what was the point of that? Why did you say that? You don't look like a tough guy. Pointing out the obvious. What are you wearing, a shirt too? Yes. Everyone here's wearing a shirt, Drew.
Except for him, probably.
Yeah, except for you. Oh, what are you guys standing here talking? Looks like you're talking. It does. Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Drew has the worst timing of trying to get aggressive when he talks. It's so fucking weird.
I think the overconfidence is probably what they're sold on.
Yes, I think Drew is 100% the victim of his own self. I think that we're starting to see people say online, Drew's seeming a bit heelish to other people. And I was like, yes! He's been a fucking heel all year, dude.
The whole time.
Yeah, we have never shied away from talking about how Drew and his heel antics.
I mean, come on, he wrote a book about being champion. That's heel enough.
I preferred when they actually had him as a heel and he didn't say much. I thought he was much more menacing.
Yes. And even that he took to a whole fucking weird thing. Like, we're going to call you a Terminator. Oh, I guess I'm half robot. No, we didn't say that, Drew.
Whatever you say is going to be taken literally.
Yeah. He just thinks it's all literal. Yeah. Drew, why are you walking like that? Well, because I'm a robot, right? No, you're not a robot. You're a Terminator. Yeah, and the Terminator's like half robot, so I got to move like a robot. No, you don't, Drew. What's going to make you stop? Well, I guess if I'm not a robot. Okay, so stop calling him a Terminator, guys. Just stop. He's going to move like a robot if we don't.
He's still running like one.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. And he still runs like a fucking Asimo, those little Honda Asimo robots that are supposed to walk like people, but they really don't. That's how fucking Drew runs.
Oh my God.
I mean, he even said it. He said that he hated the Scottish psychopath moniker. And when people said why, and he goes, because I couldn't actually be like a psychopath. I'm not going to actually like murder someone, hit him with an axe. I was like, you take everything too literal, dude. You just have to be crazy in the ring and violent. Like, what is the matter with you, dude?
I just wanted him to be like a crazy badass Boondock Saints dude with the trench coat, doesn't say much, but he'll whoop some ass. Like, that's all I wanted.
Dolph Ziggler did all the best promos of all of Drew's career. When he would say things all like, he's crazy, and he would just look at him and like Drew would just kind of stand there and he would like laugh. He goes, look at him. I don't know what he's going to do. He's a psycho. Loved it. That's all you got to do, man. Just be menacing and crazy looking and be violent in the ring. You don't actually have to murder people on live TV to be considered a psychopath. You moron.
All right, well, stop before people think you're bullying.
I'm not bullying him. He takes everything literal.
It's just speaking truths.
Yeah. He's the type of dude who'd walk up to you with like a pair of pants and said, I thought, I just looking out for you, man. You're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I scared you earlier and you said to shit your pants and I brought you a change of pants here for you. He's like, no, I didn't actually shit my pants, Drew. What do you mean? You said you shit your pants and everything. Yeah, but I didn't shit myself, but you said it. Yes. So then you must have shit your pants.
Maybe that's why everyone talks so well about him. Maybe everyone just feels so sorry for him.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't connect at all. He just takes everything super literal. Like that fucking Batista character in Galaxy of the Guardian. What are you saying? He's a half tree. Took everything literally. What are you talking about? No, why is the producer being this way?
Drew?
All right.
I am Groot.
So, yeah, I'm Groot. I am Drew. I am Drew. Yes, Drew. I am Drew.
I am Drew.
Yeah. So he does the whole thing where he talks over absolutely everybody when they're trying to talk. Braun Strowman comes in and starts to say something, and Drew starts talking over him. So Braun starts yelling at Drew because no one's allowed to talk around Drew, and it's fucking weird, and it creates for a lot of noise for no reason because Drew thinks that he's the only one allowed to talk, and he thinks that that's being aggressive. He thinks, I think, when you go back and like you hear the stories about Triple H and The Rock, and The Rock getting upset about Triple H going off script, and they told The Rock, well, you better fucking figure it out because he's going to eat you alive out there. I think that's what he thought. Oh, yeah. You better keep up then. No, you're talking over me. Yeah, I guess you're going to have to talk louder. No, it's about the back and forth, Drew. No, I'm going to be talking, and if you're going to talk, I'm going to say things so people can't hear what you're saying. No. No, they have to hear what I'm saying because there's two sides to this. Well, then I guess you're going to be louder because I'm going to be pretty loud. Or just stop talking when I'm talking and we just go back and forth. I'll eat you alive, man. You're going to have to keep up. And he just like leaves. You're like, what the fuck is he talking about? That's what it feels like. That's what I think's going on backstage.
I'm only annoyed that he keeps going on with this like, I don't know, attitude as if he still has the belt. And I'm like, you don't have the belt, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah. Drew was name calling again, being a dick. They do the coin toss. Bobby's gonna go to face Braun. Bobby Lashley's gonna go against Braun. All right, I'm looking at it too. There's a few things Drew and Bobby I think they try to do what SmackDown does, where they're like, hey, we're going to keep going back to Drew to move the story along. But it really starts to undermine Bobby after a while on some of this stuff. So we'll talk about it as it comes up, and we'll go through. So there was an AJ promo with Omos. And it was so fucking funny. And then the New Day comes out, and it becomes fucking hysterical. AJ is so funny as a character that takes himself too seriously and laughs at the wrong things. It's amazing.
The whole "you tried to make an impact, way to go" thing was hysterical.
Yeah. I loved when he sees Kofi and he goes, "Oh, Kofi, I love your gloves and your hood with the vest on it." He's like, "You look almost like an AJ. I love the look, man." And he just like acted serious, like he actually loved the look. Like it didn't even come off like he was making fun of him for dressing like me. It's not like, "Oh, you're dressing like me, Dad, dude. What's up?" He was just like, "I love it." You look so good. I can't put my finger on it. You're like, fuck.
Kofi almost broke a hip.
Yeah, when he was flying on the outside, he almost totally missed AJ, and AJ like sort of caught him and moved him, but that was a rough bump.
I was scared to land on his head.
Yeah. You want to say anything about the promo? You think anything about the promo?
No, it was what it was. It was a New Day, fucking everything, every time promo, but it was pretty fucking funny, actually. And I'm not crazy about New Day because of the fucking childish antics every time, but sometimes they get me to chuckle.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes it's who they're with. I think that there's certain people they get paired up with where they feed off of anybody they're with, and they feed off that person's energy. So if they're around Riddle, they're going to be a different level of stupid, but they're going to be feeding off that stupid energy because that's kind of the way that Riddle's being portrayed. I'm a dummy. And they're like, well, we could be dummies too. It's like, or you could be the straight guy. No, we're dummies too. And you're like, dude, with Miz and Morrison, it's all like, hey, we can all be SpongeBob. And it's like, no, fuck, God damn it.
Fucking Miz and Morrison are just cringeworthy at this point.
Yeah, they're absolutely garbage, and the New Day feeds off of them and goes, oh, you guys scream correct, so we're going to scream incorrect really loud. So that way it's like funny because it's like we're making fun of you, but we're being more obnoxious than you. And I'm like, I think it's 100% who they're with, and I think that AJ and New Day have magic together. And Almost was so good cutting in his stuff and being a totally serious guy and all of that, and AJ just smiling at him and looking like, look, this guy's crazy. He's huge. Like
he talks, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. AJ is he's maybe one of the best ever, right?
Phenomenal for a reason.
Yeah. I had a note here before we went to commercial that Adnan can't cut to commercial. Before we were having an issue where he would talk so much that he would be cut off by commercials. Now he talks so little that there's dead air before commercials.
Yeah, that was really awkward. He was like, well, we're going to have this match after the commercial. And then all of a sudden it didn't go to a commercial. And I'm like, did somebody fuck up?
Yeah. And then the graphic came back and he goes, oh, well, like I said, the match is up next. And then it went dead again. And then it goes back to them in the ring. And then he's all like, after this. And you're like, who's messing up? Because all I hear is him.
Well, these are, training wheels. So maybe they just let him go and they didn't say anything in his ear. They were like, all right, let's see if he can catch it.
I wonder if they counted him down and they just didn't cut or something, or they had 10 extra seconds. I don't know. It was just really weird. Corey's not putting up with any Adnan shit anymore. When Adnan says
Corey
something
gives
stupid.
no fucks anymore.
Yeah. Now when Adnan says something stupid, Corey's immediately like, that was the stupidest thing you said, Adnan. Like, it's coming up so crazy. I'm like, Jesus.
What? Training wheels are off. Hey, man, you've had 2 weeks. This is go time.
This is the show, man. You're on it. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Look at last week when Strowman did the freaking Strom Express and he screamed, we're going to need a fucking bigger boat. And then Corey Graves literally called him out on it. He's like, do you not know the difference between a train and a boat?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Because Adnan, and he said it this time too, was like, we're going off the rails, trying to talk about a train off the rails. So he says, we're going off the rails. And then as he starts running, he goes, we're going to need a bigger boat. And then Corey just goes, what kind of boat needs rails? Like, you're like, well, the submarine ride at Disneyland did for a while. But
Corey's like, you can't just make no sense, dude. You can't just scream things excitedly that don't make sense.
you know who he reminds me of, and it's going to piss off a lot of people? Morrow. Morrow used to write down shit he wanted to say and made sure it worked somewhere, and he would just scream it wherever he thought that was the spot. But you could tell because he had things he had to say. He had pre-written things all the time. He would be like, as in the immortal words of this 1997 obscure rapper from Seattle who died in 39. And you're like, what? And you're like, and he would like name some random fucking lyric, and you're all like, that really took me out of Leo Rush's win, man. Why did you go on that tirade? So Adnan, I think, is writing his own jokes and stuff too, and he goes, oh, and then when this happens, I'll scream this thing. And it's reminding me, it's feeling very similar to me. I know a lot of people love Morrow. I don't miss him here. I love him for UFC and boxing, and every time I hear him on one of those, I'm like, this guy's perfect here. But I do think that I thought he was a bit much in my wrestling world personally. So, yeah, Adnan screaming, we're going to need a bigger boat, definitely felt like he wrote that down for something. He wrote that one down.
You know,
and then when he hears that from Corey, he just does one of these, like, looks over at Corey and hears that and just goes, oh, and just crosses it off real quick. Like, take that one out. Take that one out. What were you going to say, Justin?
I'm going to jump back to Pat McAfee. You know who he reminds me of when he does commentary?
Huh.
He reminds me of nowadays Matt Stryker to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of vibe he gives me when he does commentary. It gives me nowadays Matt Stryker, not original like Matt Stryker on commentary. Like he gives me like Lucha Underground, and when he calls AAA, like, and even now with Impact, I get that kind of Matt Stryker with Pat McAfee.
Well, Matt Stryker sounds a lot like Everyman, you know, and that's what makes him so good. He sounds like a smart dude, but just like a dude, man. And Pat McAfee is 100% just that dude. He's the dude in class where you're like, that guy's probably an asshole jock. And then you find out he's just this dude who's accidentally the best at everything he does. And how do you manage that? You know what I mean? If you ever saw like, hey, did you ever want to try like origami? He goes, all I could make was this pirate ship. You're like, what? How did you fold that? You know? He's just accidentally perfect at everything he tries. Let's see. AJ and Omos versus New Day. Really good match. My favorite part of the match was AJ just on the outside of the ring jumping up and down. Just being excited and stuff. And getting on the... He would stand on the bottom rope and just like spring himself around and shit. And you're like, dude, is he just not in very many tag matches and he's just eating this shit up like a kid? Like...
It's like Randy Orton back in the day doing the toe touch.
Yes.
He just did it for 100%. The fuck of it.
Yeah. Here's my issue with this match, and we'll talk about it. While he's jumping around on the outside, he's got 1 foot on a turnbuckle and 1 foot on the bottom rope. He puts his hand up, almost comes over, high five, and the ref goes, tag! Except that's not a legal tag. And AJ goes, no, I didn't tag, I did a high five. And he goes, that's a tag. And AJ went, that's not a tag. I didn't tag him. We did a high five. And he goes, that's a tag. You're in. Almost get out. And I was like, God damn it. I hate when the ref is that wrong. He's just wrong. The legal rules to a legal tag is both feet have to be on the mat. To have a legal tag, both feet need to be on the mat. And your hand has to be over the top rope. And it's meant to be a hand-to-hand contact and not a back slap or anything like that, but that's gone a little bit wayward, and I understand that. But however, it's still a tag over the top rope with both feet on the ground, and you're holding the tag rope. He wasn't holding the tag rope. He had one hand on the fucking rope, 1 foot on a turnbuckle, 1 foot on another rope, and he high-fived a motherfucker.
Yeah, I was about to ask, was he holding the tag rope?
I didn't see him holding the tag rope when I look back on it. He may have been sly about it, but it definitely wasn't a legal tag.
Ref was an idiot.
It bothers me. It's that fucking ref who fucks up a bunch. He's the one guy there who I just don't think he's ever learned the rules. He's also the guy that messed up the Becky Lynch run at Mania, famously.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's got very manicured eyebrows.
He does.
Yeah.
It's true.
They all call him Spider. I don't know why. And
What?
I mess up his name all the time, but I know him as Spider because that's what all the refs call him online, and I never actually got to learn his actual name. But yeah, the fact he didn't know the rule, I was like, what the fuck, man? I hate when the wrestlers are right and the ref is wrong. Ref goes, oh, my bad, I didn't know that rule. What?
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's
I was
literally your
about to say
job.
you're a ref.
Yeah. The other part I really liked was AJ doing a phenomenal forearm off of the top of Omos. I love that AJ just leans into how small he looks next to Omos. I fucking love it. But anything else you want to say about that?
No, I loved it. AJ being the small guy with the fucking skyscraper is hysterical. I love it.
Yeah. It's so good. It works so well. I just want to say about the ref because that was a terrible mistake. Let's see. We had Charlotte and Sonya talking, and Sonya says,
Wait, Sonya gets her own entrance music.
not yet. Sonya and Charlotte are backstage. They say something, and Sonya's all like, don't you worry about it. Adam Pearce goes, the fuck you doing, dude? And Sonya's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, fuck you, dude. And then it just kind of has a weird stare down and moves on. I don't like this Sonya versus Adam Pearce storyline because I don't know where it goes. We're not going to end up with Adam Pearce versus Sonya, so it better do something. And my guess is this is how we get Sonya back in the ring because Adam's going to get pissed at her and said, that's it, you're in a match. And she's going, I'm an official, not anymore. That's my guess. What do you think, Justin? You think that's where we're going with all this?
It's weird to me. Sonya's coming off as like she's trying to be the rebellious authority figure. And first off, I still don't get why she's on Raw. I thought she was only a SmackDown official. Since when the hell was she a Raw one also? That doesn't make any sense. None.
Yeah.
And
I think it's because she's going to be on Raw when she starts wrestling. That's my hunch, but I don't know.
okay, well, but it's still weird because even her being back doesn't make any sense because wasn't her leaving WWE wasn't that loser leaves WWE thing? Wasn't that her not being able to come back either at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so her even being back without anybody saying like, oh, she got reinstated. She just came back and you just gave her this position. It's been really weird, and her siding with Charlotte, I fucking hate it with a passion.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
I ain't either, and it's just it's not her trying to be the rebel authority thing against Adam Pearce is just fucking stupid.
And they even kind of pointed out how stupid it was, too, because they're sitting there talking, and then they do this other shit. Let's see, we'll run through a few things that happened real quick. They had a Bobby and Braun video package reminding us of their street fight thing that they had in Philadelphia where people were chanting ECW that was dope. Barreling through the set that one time that was dope. So I liked that because it reminded you about Braun and Bobby having clashed before and it being dope. And that was immediately followed up by Eva Marie making a video where she says, do I have your attention? Do I have your attention? And then they said, the evolution is coming. But
In a sexy dress on a car, looking like a pinup.
yeah, she had kind of like a leather dress thing on, and it was small, and she was laying across the car and talking about a little bit about her ambitions and trying to be an inspiration and stuff on top of a car. So I don't know how it all clicks together. I've seen a lot of people say a lot of things. Justin, what do you think about all this?
If you didn't see me say it then last night, I'm gonna say it again. I fucking hate it. because I feel like we're going backwards with this women's division anymore. We're not doing anything to advance the women's division. It feels like we're going back to the divas again. And John Laurinaitis being fucking involved with it just makes it worse. Because eventually I have a feeling this is going to lead to a Bella return. And I'm very, very fucking indifferent when it comes to the Bellas. And yeah, I get mixed feelings with them, because yes, they were the ones that were a big part of the evolution of women's wrestling. Okay. But do we really need the fucking Bellas on TV? No. At all. But now you got Eva on TV, and it just feels like coming back, and it just feels like you took everything that we moved forward towards with Becky and Bayley and Sasha and everybody and Ronda, and it just feels like you're going backwards, and now you're just pushing it back to divas again.
Or I was wondering, the back of my mind, I was kind of wondering if that would make really good heels.
So that's what I wonder is, so for one, I've seen a lot of people say, but Eva Marie sucks in the ring. Well, we haven't seen her wrestle in like 6 years or some shit. She might not be bad in the ring. We just don't know. She could be, but I'm not going to judge her in ring till I see her back in ring, right? As far as the promo went, I thought the promo package was done very well. It was interesting in that you go, here's a character that's speaking very well for themselves. She cut a decent promo there. It was taped, so who knows how many takes. Maybe it was one, maybe it was a dozen, I don't know. But at face value, it was a solid promo that sounded good, that came off believable. That character believes in himself. They're overly confident. Maybe we got something here. I do think it's a nod back to the Divas era, especially considering that Total Divas as a show didn't exist except for Eva Marie. The whole first 2 seasons were about her. Everything else was a side note to her. It was about her coming into the company and what that was going to be like and everything. So she's got a pretty interesting story. So then I thought about it, and I was like, well, if we complain a lot that there's not enough women on TV in general, and that all their stories seem to be pretty shallow, what if we started sort of a Divas Invasion style angle, where you have a Eva Marie, you have a Bellas, you have a you guys took the ball and ran with it, and you don't give us any respect, and you talk down about what we built, right? You have this, we laid the groundwork versus the groundwork wasn't so good to begin with. You know what I mean? You could have potentially good story there. You could even have Carmella take sides. She could end up on the diva side of things, saying, I don't think Diva's bad. Well, I'm a boss, you know?
Yeah, she did tweet out just like the eyeballs, like, oh, hey.
Yeah. I think it's possible. I don't know that that's what they're doing, and I'm not saying that this isn't going to be bad. I'm saying I think face value, it's a little early to hate it. I think it's something to be apprehensive of, but I do think there's potential there for something. You know what I mean?
In the back of my mind, I was like, well, I could see this very strikingly against Becky. Have Becky come back, and you've got this dominant, hey, I had 2 belts, and I main evented WrestleMania for the first time ever.
Yeah, you can have absolutely a Becky return off the back of that as a, oh, hell no. I didn't take the women all the way to the main event of the WrestleMania just to have you diva ditzes come back through here and try and drag us back down.
That kind of stirs some emotion right now. I think, yeah, that's a pretty good story right there.
Stirred up emotion in you when you heard that? Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
I'm going to cut promos.
Well, because now I'm like, that bitch.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
Yeah, 100%. You fucking bitch. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that. What do you think, Justin? Do you think that there's possibility it could turn around and not be potentially something awful?
I mean, it could not be as bad as I'm thinking it's going to be, but I don't know. I still have my doubts with it. I really do.
I think it's one of those things you walk carefully on it, but you let it be what it's going to be. I think that you got to be fair to it because we don't know what she's been through. I know that for over a year, I've seen her on her social medias training in rings and stuff here and there. Not every day. She trains in the gym all the time. She had a whole like fitness line of stuff. But all of a sudden, randomly, there would just be like a picture of a ring in a warehouse somewhere. And you're like, huh. I was like, that looks a lot like the ring she trained at with Brian Kendrick back on Total Divas a long time ago. And I was like, I wonder if it's an old picture or not. You know what I mean? Like, it just seemed weird. But it's been over a year. And she signed on back in September. Which is also funny because everyone's being like, and even Mickey, this is another one of those moments where Mickey's not making herself look good. She, as soon as Eva's thing popped up, she did a mind blow emoji, a laughing emoji, and the mind blowing again. Like, my mind's blown and I'm laughing because this bitch is terrible kind of an attitude towards it. This wasn't a fucking if or. It wasn't like, hey, we better get rid of the Iconics and Mickey James so we can make room for Eva Marie. No, it wasn't. I don't think that that's the conversation that happens. And that's how people are talking about it. They're like, oh, this is what they let Mickey James go for. No, it's not. They have more ideas and something to move forward with. And they don't want to keep Mickey shelved for no reason. If you're not going to use her, let her go. I don't know why that's a problem. I agree that you should be able to use her. But if you're not going to, then the right thing is to let her go. But, yeah, I'm interested. I'm hopeful. I'm very cautious.
Yeah, I'm a person who I've told people before, give me a reason to change my mind. As if she does that, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. And she was terrible in the ring. She was garbage. But it was years ago, and who knows what she's like right now. We don't know.
And I will say that when you say be careful, when I think even of Carmella's new character, they've backed out on that one a lot. Remember, it was like super, super diva-ish, and I don't feel like they're doing her entrance as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they're very aware. I think, maybe not.
Yeah, but maybe that's part of the tease of it all is that maybe, I mean, you just don't know. We don't know where it's going to go. I agree with you with knowing John Laurinaitis there. It's always scary to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. But John Cone got a promotion, and he's like second in command to John Laurinaitis, which I think is really good because John Cone's dope. So yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do think it's interesting the amount of people who just are saying this is awful and this is why everyone got fired, and you're like, those are different things, not related, and we didn't see enough to hate all of it yet. I saw someone saying they were complaining that we keep seeing video package promos for the women. I was like, what? Because they like talked about Emma's, Liv Morgan's, this one, and someone else had a little one. And I was like, what do you... They do that for a ton of people. And that's kind of just a general thing. I mean, sometimes you just get video packages. That's all you get. Look at Xia Li. All she got was video packages there for like 2 months. Aleister Black's all video packages right now. I don't know. I thought it was unreasonably harsh, although we should definitely be very cautious about this. No one should be thrilled, but no one should be hating it. Although she had serious heat. They used to talk about Eva Marie heat. Didn't matter what she said or do when the crowd saw her, they just shit all over her. Yeah, she was like Baron Corbin levels of heat. Like, just didn't matter. You didn't even have to give her a mic. People were booing. They just didn't like her because she was the face of Total Divas and stuff.
Like Ronda when she was crying in front of them?
Yeah, 100%. And Eva Marie just ate it up like a Sith Lord.
Okay.
What? She feeds off of the hate. We had a promo with MVP talking about how cool Bobby Lashley is. They replayed Miz and Morrison's awful segment with the tomatoes. Elias and Riker then start throwing tomatoes at New Day, but they hit Randy Orton instead because that makes sense.
You like that cutaway, actually.
The cutaway where they have Orton standing there with tomatoes and Riddle just scooters by. Hey, Randy. I was like, okay, that was a good shot.
That one got me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I laughed. I was like, okay, that's good. I'm starting to warm up to the character of Riddle backstage because of his interactions with Randy, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. Anything you want to say about any of those segments?
No, I'll wait until we get to the match.
All right, cool. Then we got Charlotte coming out. I said here with this video package that they've done a better job of showing her being back from suspension than they ever did to establish that she was previously suspended. They've put together a whole video package of how she came back from suspension, but when she got suspended, we didn't see her again until she came back from suspension the next week. So we didn't even see that she was suspended if you watched week to week. If you weren't on Twitter, you didn't know.
Even suspended.
No.
Yeah, it didn't happen if you weren't on Twitter. Twitter said she's suspended, and WWE on TV never acknowledged it. They acknowledged that she was back next week. She goes, she was suspended. What are you talking about? It was on Twitter. Everybody knows. Why didn't you put together a video package at the beginning of the show establishing that Charlotte's out of the show? But they didn't. So they did this instead, and this is stupid. We got Dana versus Charlotte. Charlotte is these are my notes. Charlotte says to Dana Brooke, "You're still my bitch," and face palms her. Charlotte is actively belittling the credibility of the entire women's roster in every match as she goes. Charlotte sells absolutely terribly. Mandy ends up breaking up the figure eight, which was held on past the match. This whole match, I don't understand what Charlotte's doing. But she doesn't look like she's beating anybody. She's making sure that she looks like she's better than everybody, but not that she's better at them than wrestling, but that in general that they are bad. She doesn't make it look like she's just better than someone who's good. She makes it look like everybody around her is actually bad. That is bad for the women's division, for everyone to think that there's Charlotte and then everybody else. That's terrible. We just said that Austin needed Rock. If Rock went out there every week and made Austin look like an absolute fucking fool and a doofus, that wouldn't have done their rivalry any good. It wouldn't have done anything good for Austin. I mean, luckily Austin's also an alpha and that would just never happen. But if that was the goal, if that's what they were going for, I want to make you look like an idiot. Who are you serving? Because you're supposed to be fighting these people. They're supposed to be in competitive nature.
It's like what Lawler said, right?
Yeah, like Lawler always said. If you beat a nobody, you've just beat nobody. You're not somebody until you beat somebody. You got to make sure you're beating somebody in every match, even if nobody knows their name. I don't know. What do you think of this match? Did you love it? Amazing match of the year?
Absolutely not. Charlotte.
Don't you put that evil on me.
There's no enjoyment in Charlotte. She is. Anyone can say it's heel heat. It's not heel heat. It's get the fuck off my TV heat. She's atrocious right now. She's literally made the entire every division that she's been in look absolutely worthless to her. It's a fucking joke. She comes out and she's doing all this BS of, oh, you should feel bad for me, and all this other nonsense she does with her fucking speak and spell style fucking voice, what she sounds like. Like, I don't get it. None of it. Yeah. It's all just BS anymore. Like, I have no problem with the woman that is Charlotte, but her fucking character is horrendous. I fucking hate every second of it. When she's on TV, I can't wait till it's over. It just, her coming out and talking about how she's the opportunity. No, you're not the opportunity. You're taking an opportunity, because that's what you do best. It's fucking ridiculous. And now that she's in the title match, like it's again, and she's not being the opportunity, she's taking the opportunity again.
And also, if you're the opportunity, then that would mean that, because her whole fucking argument, who put Rhea on the map? Are you like the person who disappeared after they lost to you for a fucking year almost? Person who fucking got derailed? Who beat Asuka? Yeah, when you derailed her fucking career for a year? I even put that in here. So in this too, Sonya got an entrance, and they announced her as WWE official Sonya, and she gets her fucking music and got an entrance. I was like, great. They cut to commercial, comes back. Drew Video has a package put together hyping up his promo he's going to cut later. And I was like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. It literally was like a 30-second video package of Drew saying stuff, video cuts, and then it goes, exclusive interview tonight. You mean a fucking promo? Then it comes to Charlotte
Drew.
in the... Yeah.
I like Drew, but his promos are the same every fucking week.
Drew-
His promo sounds the same every week.
To me,
It's
Drew and
ridiculous.
Charlotte are the same, unfortunately.
I put Drew and Charlotte in very similar categories because Charlotte's been cutting the same promo for years at this point. Every time she's like not in a main event or loses a match, she comes out and says the same thing of, I did this, I'm Charlotte, I'm the opportunity. All this bullshit is the same rhetoric she always spews on everything. Whether she's a heel or babyface, it's the same thing. I had to overcome my first name. I didn't get anything for my first name or last name, whatever. Okay, I'm tired of hearing about it. You must be tired of talking about it. Why don't you move on? Why don't you let your character grow at all? I think she's someone who could severely take from acting lessons as far as like getting in depth into your character, because her whole thing was, I was like, Charlotte promo is just recounting all the time she's derailed people's careers severely, and I was like, then Rhea and Asuka come out, Charlotte just laughs in their face no matter what they're saying, and then Charlotte gets added to the match. It's like, what the fuck was all of this?
Yeah, every time I see Charlotte, I just can't wait until Becky's back, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad when I see Charlotte out there. I go, fuck. No one's about to look good.
The thing
Charlotte
that irks
makes
me
sure
with
that Charlotte
Charlotte
looks good.
is
Go ahead.
everything is just because they're trying. It just feels like they're just hell bent on beating her father's record, and that's
Oh, it
why
feels like-
they're with her, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you so obsessed with breaking this record? It doesn't make it. It's fucking stupid. Like, just because Cena stopped and isn't gonna do it, I'm pretty sure he's even said that he doesn't want to do it to break the record. What is the fucking obsession with trying to break this record? They're just,
Because then that'll prove she's just that good, right?
Yeah, and that's the conversation they always have. They're always talking, Charlotte's probably the best wrestler in the entire roster, man or woman. Okay, I don't see that at all.
No.
But it's what they're pushing, and I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not excited for it. I was excited for a Rhea Asuka rematch, and now I'm not excited at all about this bullshit now that Charlotte's added.
I actually was not excited about Rhea coming to Raw once I knew that Charlotte was there. I was like, it doesn't matter if she has the belt.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I even said that when Rhea got called up, and I was like, well, this sucks. Because she's immediately going to be involved in something with Rhea, and Rhea's going to make her look like shit again. What they ought to do... What they got to do is have Rhea stack him and smash him and pin him and kin him. You know what I mean? Like what Roman does with his IHOP potatoes. Slash him, stack him, tip him, skip him.
Are you trying to say pancakes?
No, it's their hash browns.
What?
If you go to Waffle House.
Oh, a Waffle House.
If you go to Waffle House and you order your hash browns like stacked and capped, you're going to get a specialized version. I believe that is with mushrooms and I don't remember what stacked is, but smothered and covered, slithered and quivered. It's all there, man. And that's how Roman
Slithered and quivered.
Yeah. Yeah, Roman wins matches the same way that I order hash browns. Smash them, stack them, pin them, skin them. Jeremy says, every break Charlotte takes from wrestling, she gets worse and worse every time she comes back. I thought honestly, yeah. She comes back, and I'm like, I've heard of ring rest as a thing, but this is just like degradation. She's so weird and goofy. What?
My simplistic way of putting this with Charlotte is Charlotte reminds me of Roman before the tribal chief. The people that hated Roman because every time it was always going to end up being Roman in the title picture. Roman in the title picture. No matter, even if you hated him, you were going to get him there. That's what we're getting with Charlotte. Every time. It's older Roman in Charlotte. And that is why I quoted naming her Woman Reigns.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Makes 100% sense. And I think what they ought to do is have Rhea stack him and smash him. You know what I mean? And pile them on top of each other and get a big old win like Roman.
That'd be hysterical to watch.
I would love it. But I don't know. I don't find anything redeeming about Charlotte segments at this point, and it's unfortunate. So let's see. We did end up with Kayla and Humberto Carrillo in the back. And Sheamus comes out and beats the absolute shit out of Humberto again. Then we get Sonya and Adam Pearce doing a stupid segment again. But this time, Lily is in the background staring at Sonya. And that's interesting. Then we get Miz and Morrison cutting their promo. I believe I went to the bathroom for that. Morrison versus Damian Priest, where Damian won. What do you think about all of that stuff, Justin?
I wish we get Priest away from those two already.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're teasing. I mean, it sucks. It's interesting that they're teasing kind of a breakup with Miz and Morrison, but it kind of sucks because, again, you're taking another team away, just like you did later on in the night. It's just taking another team away.
I mean, I guess that's true, but I don't think Miz and Morrison ever really functioned very well as a tag team. They just happen to always be together. But it is a pairing you can utilize for sure. And now you might not be able to. But I do agree. I think Damien's got to move on. I thought when he beat them at WrestleMania that he would get maybe one or two more matches and just like solidify that I didn't need Bad Bunny, but I'll beat you guys anyways. And then just move the fuck on. But I don't know really what's next for Damian Priest, to be honest. Let's see. Do you have any good ideas for Damian?
I honestly have nothing. I just want them to move him on to something different.
I could see him in a cool program with Sheamus.
Yeah, I would love to see him be Sheamus' opponent.
Yeah. Let's see. The next segment was Mansoor signing with Raw. Sheamus comes in, goofing and giggling and talking
This
some
guy.
shit. What's wrong with this guy?
No, this
Producer lady does not sound
ragdoll.
happy.
I felt so bad for him.
We're not there yet. This is where we feel good for him because he signed with Raw. Except you go,
Okay,
damn it, dude,
okay.
you signed with Raw.
I was very
Good luck.
happy to see him again
Yeah.
until I saw his match, and then I felt very sad for him.
Yep. Let's see. Then we got an MVP promo. So again, this is like the third Bobby promo of the night. Let's see. We get Lucha House Party. So this came back from commercial break on my side. I don't know about yours. On my side, it comes back from commercial and it's in the middle of the match. Lucha House Party and Shelton Cedric are having a match. There was no entrance or anything. It was just they're in the match now. Is that how you saw it?
For me too. Yeah, it did for me too.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, the USA edition of Raw cuts all the commercials, and it accidentally cut the Evolution thing. Thought it was a commercial. So it literally goes to like a commercial break because it has the thing right before it, which was Bobby and Braun doing their video package. It shows that video package. Then it cuts to a little Hulu commercial or whatever, the little USA commercial. And it comes back and it shows the Raw logo like flying in. And Corey Graves says, ho, 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 Eva, you have our attention. And I was like, no one knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it came back to that. And so that whole fucking thing happens. The match happens. Lucha House Party wins. And then Cedric talks some mad shit on Shelton and leaves.
You got a tag team division that's struggling like shit. Well, let's break up another team.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't see a benefit in that. I don't know. I mean, even if you end up with Shelton Cedric matches, I don't know how that's going to be a benefit. You know what I mean?
And that was I remember when they first got them together, we were so excited because we're like, these guys are so good. They just never have a story that's good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bummer because I don't want them to go back to being those guys that are really good that just have matches that don't mean anything.
Yeah. That's, for sure. Let's see. We had a segment in the back where Drew Gulak tells Garza he's a ladies' man who can't score. During this segment, Lily again is seen in the background, lurking, spying, watching, always watching. And then Angel says that he's willing to have a match with Garza, and then he is going to slip a rose into his butthole. He's like, I'm just going to go ahead and put this little rose here up into your anal butthole.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Some people might think that was kinky.
Yeah, but even Drew Gulak had a look on his face like, the fuck? Like, I just want to have a match with you, and you're talking about putting stuff in my butthole, dude. Like, I'll show you I'm not a ladies' man. I'll put shit in your butt. What?
Is this like part of paying your dues? Like, we're gonna give him the weirdest, crazy character.
No, this is paying your doo-doos.
Okay, I walked into that one.
Zing. What? There you go.
Yes.
Let's see. Then we did get that followed up by Shelton Benjamin having a response with Kayla in the back. Kayla's been doing such a bang-up job. She's been doing so good.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what that. I thought that was bad.
Oh, no. Banging up is good. Kayla's been doing awesome, I think, with the way that she's been able to emote with her face in response to the way people are talking, her leading into the questions and whatnot. She doesn't usually have to have a back and forth, but when she does, she holds her own. I think we really got a chance to see how good Kayla is at WrestleMania when the storm was happening, and they kept cutting to Kayla at the desk with Peter and JBL, and she was managing that table and then cutting to this person. Then it would come back and she goes, all right, we're back. Hey, what do you guys think about this? And then Strong's like, great thing. We're going to go here now. Boom. And it, like the way she managed it, I was like, oh, wait, she's good on the fly. And then I kind of been noticing in these segments too that she's been emoting really well, and her look of concern with Shelton I thought was just fucking good. But more importantly, the Shelton promo he cut here was absolute fucking fire. Where he was talking about surviving. What did you think about this, Justin? Am I being too nice?
No, I think Shelton Benjamin is fantastic. I still remember when he was feuding with like Triple H and all that stuff. I've always been a big fan of Shelton Benjamin. It's just, I know he's not like the greatest when it comes to cutting promos, but he definitely got a good one out of himself that night.
Yeah.
But Kayla Braxton, when we were talking about her, she gets a lot of flack, and I don't know why. I still remember the Talking Smack thing, I think it was, with when Paul Heyman was like, we got rid of the wrong female correspondent, talking about Kayla, and I was like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think he does that.
He was doing that to get a rise out of her, and he's been nice to her since then too. Smackdown, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Kayla came over and asked Paul a question outside. Like, Paul comes out of the Roman's door, and he immediately goes like, oh, God damn it, like throws his arms up like, oh, when he sees Kayla. And then Kayla asks a question, and he goes, Kayla, you are as, what was it? Was it inquisitive or well-spoken? It was something about how she worded her question. He's like, you are as well-spoken as you are beautiful. And then he went and started talking about the question. Like, he tries to put her over on SmackDown and then tries to talk some shit on Talking Smack, which is funny. Paul's great.
He is.
But yeah, Shelton I thought was awesome. And yeah, I don't know why Kayla gets a bunch of shit. She's fantastic. She's awesome.
Yeah, she really is. Even Sarah Schreiber, I'll give her a thumbs up.
Yeah.
From the Blue Moon.
Sarah Schreiber's been doing good. She's been getting better each time too. what was it? Kayla had a cameo for a while, and I got one for Lunar from the show, and she went on. I put like a 2-sentence thing, and she gave us like a 3.5-minute video or something for him and whatnot. I was like, that's dope, and she just talked about a bunch of things, and
Yeah,
she just came off like a really cool person. Kayla? I think Kayla's got a crush on Lunar. She's just not willing to step up. What are you gonna do? Let's see. After that, Drew lost to Garza in a match with terrible punches. Garza was doing awful in this match. He was not connecting with anything, and I felt like Gulak kept being like, "You're gonna have to touch me eventually," like just with like the looks on his faces and shit. Garza was just not making any contact. So then Drew ends up losing, and then Garza slips the rose up into Drew Gulak's butthole, and then backs up, winds up, and kicks his foot up into his butthole also, further inserting the rose up into the butthole. What do you think about this, Justin?
They're so dumb. They're so dumb.
You know what I want to see? What I want to see is I want to see Garza start coming out with a brown rose instead of a red rose.
Oh, God.
Come on.
I'm not saying it's got to be muddy, just brown, like brown leaves. Little petals.
No, stop.
Yeah.
I think
No,
the
and then
only
you can have
funny
a
thing
little
I got out of that. The only funny thing I got out of that whole entire thing was Corey Graves with his whole. I hope there was no thorns on that.
There's
I know.
entirely too many whole jokes without Nia being in this.
Yeah. Nia should have been involved somehow. Yeah, I thought that too. I was all like,
She would have dropped a leg drop on him with the rose there, and then she would have hurt his hole and her hole at the same time.
yeah. It'd have been a whole mess.
Oh my god. Come on.
What?
I'm just
Holy
gonna walk
shit.
off.
What? What? We're the dive bar of the IWC. What do you want from me?
Welcome if you're tuning in to
Or out.
us for the first time.
Or if you're tuning out for the first time.
Thanks for coming
Sorry.
by.
Yeah. Thanks for coming through. Let's see. After that, we had Matt Riddle doing his backstage segment. So this I thought was awesome. It was Riddle and Orton. And Riddle's doing his job of being like corny. And Orton's like, shut the fuck up. And I think that this is the note I'd put. Let's see how I wrote it. It said, Orton is amazing at showing that there's a lot to be said for Riddle's in-ring game, but also that he needs to shut up. I think what Orton's doing is he's putting over both aspects of Riddle's character, because he's saying like, I want to be with you in the ring because you can fucking get the job done. You can fucking go. But he's also saying, I find everything you're doing around that really obnoxious. And I like that there's that on-screen voice for people who aren't liking Matt Riddle's character. Because to be quite honest, Orton's interactions with Riddle is warming up Riddle to me, and I can feel it. As I'm watching it, I'm getting warm. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not as annoyed by Riddle when he's going back and forth with Orton, because I love that Orton's saying, shut up, dude, you're annoying. And being like, yes, thank you. And he goes, but you're also really good. And you go, well, yeah, he is pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's actually winning me over. I just think it's smart. I think it's smart. It's good. What do you think?
I think it's because Randy's so serious that when Matt Riddle gets funny, he's kind of like the barrier. He doesn't let it get carried away like it was beforehand. He's like, I'll let you get some of it out, but at this point, I'm cutting you off right here. And
Yeah.
that's why I said what I feel like I'm getting Broserweights vibes from these two. I'm getting Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle vibes out of this, because you got the serious like one in Pete Dunne and Randy Orton, and then you got Matt Riddle again being his funny self, but you're not like getting carried away with the funny, because you got the serious guy who kind of like goes, all right, that's the limit right here. This is enough. Okay.
I don't know why, but you suddenly make me want to see Pete Dunne and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I do. I'm all for that.
But I also think that what was cool about it is it made Matt Riddle's character make a shift too, right? Because Riddle then shows up to Orton and he goes, "Look, I know I got to be more serious about things, but I wanted you to know this, that, and the other, whatnot." And I was like, he's checking himself now when he's around Orton because his character's got a ton of respect for Orton. So I don't know. I'm liking this pairing more and more. I don't typically like when two strong single stars just become a tag team for no fucking reason. And I don't like it when the reason is a ridiculous reason when they have one. But this is working in the idea of like, I think it's actually highlighting both these people in a really solid way. And I think it's actually, Orton's actually helping Riddle's character get over in a way that I typically don't find in tag teams.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
My only concern during this match is I swear to God, I hope Elias is okay.
What happened with Elias? I mean,
because during the tag match, when Randy hits the RKO on Jackson Riker and he tags in Matt Riddle hit the floating bro, and he landed on Elias's head.
It looked like it landed right on his face. Yeah, I remember that. We saw that and I was like, Jesus.
Head. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, that looked bad. RKO and Riddle versus Elias and Jackson. RK Bro wins. Yeah, that was a gnarly flying bro, and it like crushed his face, and then he was just like holding his head, and I was all like, "Fuck." I wonder if, yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Let's see. Only a couple more things left, and then we'll get you out of here, Justin. I'm sorry we're running a little bit late. We wanted to start it early so we wouldn't go late, and we ended up just running late and starting early. So maybe it's better we started early so we didn't run double late.
Running late, especially since I have nothing for tomorrow, so we can run as late as possible.
I thought you had like work in the morning because I know there was like you were on the show last time, and then like 3:30 in the morning I was like still up, and you were like getting ready for work as you're like tweeting something, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like,
no, Wednesdays. As of right now, Wednesdays and then the weekends are like my available days. Like I have nothing. So
hell yeah, dude. So then this is your weekend.
So it's
I don't work tomorrow.
It's my
either.
middle of the weekend.
Woo!
Yeah. So why are you just drinking watermelon soda, dude? What's the deal? Why aren't you having fucking?
I don't get to go out and go grab like any kind of alcohol or anything.
Oh, you want us to sponsor you? I know this gimmick. I've been running this gimmick the whole time. You're trying to get us to sponsor you and send you booze. We got to get our own whiskey cask, wrestling on the cask, our own whiskey brand. All right. Well, cheers, Justin. I wish you were drinking with me. No, and you don't go to work tomorrow. I'm watching producer get pissed at me. She doesn't go to work tomorrow either, so now I can just slack off. You see what happens? I can do whatever I want now.
I can still cut the show right now.
Damn.
Just plays. Let's see. Drew cuts a promo where he comes off like a piece of shit. Also, did Kayla, when talking about what happened to Drew last week, wait, do you follow football? Like actual American football, not the European kickball that others speak of? What?
Come on.
I'm asking about a real sport, not fucking TV.
Stop it.
Wow.
We are going to lose our international followers if we have any.
What?
Good cop, bad cop is going to like unfollow us.
Dude, I can't wait. I keep forgetting. I want to message him and get on that show so I can fucking call it European.
No, he's not going to invite you now.
Please.
He doesn't listen to every episode.
You don't know that.
Oh, I know that. Graham.
No, with
Graham
Justin
can't stand
on, right?
us when it's a long episode. He cannot stand it. Because also Graham likes the indie shit, so he's more likely to listen to NXT reviews than Raw. There's no way he's still in.
No, he'd listen for Justin, not for you.
That's a good point. He likes Justin. Justin's over. For anybody who wants to know, Justin Time 211 on Twitter. He's over, man. Okay. Do you know what's going on in actual American football?
I don't delve into it like most people do. I just kind of watch it and that's it.
Me neither. I think I heard 2 references to Browns and Giants. And I don't know why. And this was a second one. December 2020. Last time they fought, the Browns won 20-6. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, when I look up Browns and Giants, I see nothing.
This is why we need Kevlar on the show.
Yeah, I need Kevlar for these ones. I don't know what's going on with him because Ivar and Eric and Riddle mentioned the Browns and the Giants, and I was like, huh. And then here,
I get it now, what you were talking about there.
What?
Because Riddle told him, he goes, these are the Viking Raiders. He says that means, he says, one of you like the Vikings, the other one likes the Raiders, right? And then Eric said that he's like, no, he's like, actually, I'm a Browns fan. And that's when then he was telling Ivar how he was a sexy stallion.
Right. But then here, Kayla refers to Mason T-Bar as Drew's personal Giants and the Browns.
That's weird.
And I was like, what's going on there? But then I also thought the way that she said it, she goes, sort of in reference to the Giants and the Browns, Mason T-Bar came and fucked you up last week. And I was like, why would you refer to Mason T-Bar as the Giants and the Browns? That seems insensitive at best. I was like, what? And I was like, this has got to be a football reference I don't get because the internet would blow up otherwise, right? Like,
I don't get that one either. None.
No, I'm not trying to cancel Kayla by any means. I think Kayla's great. She's a gem. But I heard it and went, what the fuck?
I don't know. We have to consult Kevlar next time about this.
I'll have to get if anybody is in the chat, which would be nobody, let us know what the Giants and the Browns is about. Let's see. I guess after that Drew promo, unless there's something you want to say about that Drew promo, did you love it? Was it like amazing? Was it like hard times? They literally promoted this twice during the episode. Just you wait.
Like I said, Drew's promos just feel the same every week. There's nothing really different about them.
It's
just all I'm big and bad, and that's it.
It's just like Charlotte. Just keep shoving them down our throats to hope that we like it. No.
Yeah. 100%. I think we get too much Drew. After that, we had Sheamus versus Mansoor.
Poor guy. This poor guy.
I wrote this note, Justin, then let me know what you thought of the match. I said, did Mansoor try to sleep with Sheamus's daughter or something? This is a goddamn murder scene. Then Humberto gets involved and gets his head kicked the fuck off. Mansoor gets up and loses his face and head as well.
You know, I think what made this worse is how happy Mansoor was. He was just so jovial, so happy to be there. And
consummate babyface.
Oh my God. But like over the top happy, like Leon Ruff happy to be there.
Yeah.
And Sheamus just wiped it right out of him.
Yeah, and Sheamus just fucking murdered the shit out of him. Mansoor even had on his boots FTF, and I was trying to figure out what that meant, and the most I could find was stuff that said for the fans, and I was all like, oh, if he's doing that for the Saudi Arabian fans, because it's hometown and all.
Aww.
But I don't know. I guess I have to hear from him. Justin, what did you think about this delicate matchup?
It was a slaughter. It was it sucks for Mansoor because all I kept seeing was the man's on a 49 match win streak. Mm-hmm. And then lost last night. And I was like, God damn it, he's been on what? NXT regular NXT, 205 Live, and then the Saudi shows, and that's mostly what we've seen from him. And all those matches that he's had, he's won. So
yeah, and I think he was on main event a couple times.
It's just crazy. You go through all that and then just cut it off.
Yeah, I mean, he even beat Cesaro.
Yeah, and I honestly thought when he showed up and then he interacted with Sheamus, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, they're giving Mansoor the U.S. title. but then it wasn't a U.S. title match, and I'm like, all right, so now he's getting fucking slaughtered.
To be fair, how long has it taken Sheamus to get that title? So,
I mean, to be fair, Sheamus' whole gimmick right now is beat the shit out of me if you want a chance at the title.
yeah.
And I think he means it.
Oh, yeah, he was bleeding and he didn't even care. He didn't notice.
Yeah. Sheamus, I think, broke his own head open by punching someone so hard. It was incredible. Sheamus was bleeding.
Champion, I'll break my own skull.
Yeah. He was like, I will punch you so hard my head breaks. What?
It's the champ I can believe in.
Yeah. You mean you're going to headbutt me? No, I don't. What? That's how I imagine the match is getting put together in the back. Mansoor's like, what do you want to do? I want to beat the shit out of you. Oh.
Sheamus is like, yeah, you can try.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like Sheamus' response is, I just want to beat the shit out of you. Mansoor's like, well, I do a pretty good drop kick. He goes, I do a pretty good punch your teeth out. What? How about I kick your head so hard that your legs flip over? He crumpled in the corner, dude. He got bro kicked so hard his feet were on the ropes and he was just limp out there. It was incredible.
Fucking bro kick's amazing.
It's kind of Tozawa-like. It was insane.
Yeah. Mansoor was so good.
And his facial expressions, Sheamus is still putting that everywhere.
Oh, yeah. When he's like pulling his mouth open, he's like, smile for the camera. You're on Raw, buddy. I was like, fuck. Yeah. Producer was all like, is this like a paying your dues thing? Is this like a welcome to the dance? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm feeling like this little Dominic up here.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. This feels more like a gang initiation.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, kind of like Dominic. He was beat the fuck up.
Yeah, they whapped him. But, yeah, Sheamus just beat the absolute shit out of Mansoor. And then at the end, he was like, all right, good job, mate. What? It was insane. Totally insane. Anything else you want to say about that match there, Justin?
No.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good match. I love Sheamus so much. And I love this Peaky Blinders look he's got. I didn't even catch it like last week or the week before when Humberto came to the ring. He took his little fucking Peaky Blinder hat off and flung it in Mansoor's face. In Peaky Blinders, they do that because they put razor blades in the bill of the hat. So they'll grab their hat and slash people with it. So he fucking takes the hat off and throws it at him. I was like, ah!
So he tried to be Kung Lao from fucking Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
100%.
How did we miss that?
Sheamus is a goddamn badass, and it's crazy.
Damn.
I forget who was saying it in some podcast not that long ago where someone was asking about some of the stiffest people they ever worked with. And the person was all like, well, you always know when you're in the ring with Sheamus. Like, he's not light. Sheamus and Brock? I don't know. I hope so.
Yes.
I hope they have.
They had one match at a house show.
No kidding.
Yeah, they had a match against at a house show, and Sheamus put up a hell of a fucking fight against him. I'm a little disappointed that he didn't beat him, but there's like footage, you can find it.
I bet you, because there's times I think that Sheamus legit just says to people, you want to just go out there and fight for a while before we get started? And they go, yeah, let's do that. Like with Riddle, I'm pretty sure they just wanted to fight for a while. And with Bobby Lashley, I think it was like, wouldn't it be cool if we just fought for a while? And he goes, you mean like wrestle? He goes, no, I mean like I'll punch you as hard as I can in the face, and then you punch me as hard as you can in the face. Yeah, and then after a minute or two, we'll just start the match. And they're like, you mean like before the bell? No, after the bell. We're going to beat the shit out of each other and then have a wrestling match. Like, That sort of thing's happening with Sheamus all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised for a second because Brock Lesnar beats up people for fun. He was like, well, WWE's become a little boring. I think it'll be more fun to just go to UFC where people try to murder you for a living. And you go, oh. Wouldn't shock me at all if Sheamus was all like, you want to punch each other as hard as we can out there? And Brock's like, yeah, I do. It's exactly what I want to do.
To be a fly on the wall and that would have been hysterical to hear.
Oh my God, it would have been amazing to hear Sheamus and Brock put together a match. They just look at each other. Murder? Yep. See you in the ring, kid.
I kicked your teeth out. You punched me in the nose. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. After that, we did have Alexa and Lily. It was creepy. It was decent. It was not a lot different than we've seen the last several weeks. This is going to have to start moving somewhere. It's starting to feel a little GTV. Starting a little bit hacker. It's starting to feel a little bit like we don't know what to do. We're just trying to hold still while we figure it out. It's starting to feel that way. Although Alexa's showing more in the idea of Lily's in control. Lily doesn't like someone. Lily likes red. Lily's going to fuck up somebody's life. I can't tell you who. So there's hints that something will be happening soon. But there's also so much vagueness that it feels an awful lot like it's possible. They recorded all of these a month and a half ago in one shot, and they hadn't yet decided what it was going to be. They just knew how they were going to get there when they decided. So we end up with a lot of vagueness here. Am I being too critical of this, Justin?
No, because I'm feeling the same way. It just feels like they don't know what they're doing with it yet. They don't know what they want to do with it yet, and they're just kind of like putting these backstage, these Alexa's Playground promos over and over and until they figure out something. And I think it's time to do something because she said that come on, she targeted the women's division. She said she wants to come after the women's division. Well, why are we not seeing this yet?
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's really Sonya Deville, is that really targeting the women's division, With Lily being in the background of all that.
No, because even just targeting Sonya, she's not really, as of right now, she's not part of the division. She's an authority right now.
And what would that even do for her? Because that was my other thought too. And I was like, if they're really building towards Sonya and Alexa through this Lily thing, what's the end game there? Alexa clearly is going to win. Do you have it so the way that Bray was changing the people he was in matches with, do you do that with Alexa where she's in a match with Sonya and now she's way different? Maybe. Then you get a whole new fresh look with Sonya and shit.
Well, we don't really know much about this Lily character, which is so different than Bray, because Bray wasn't being controlled by any of the puppets,
That's true. The Fiend didn't control him. He was within him.
Yeah, so this is totally different, I feel like.
Yeah, it is different enough.
Maybe the outcome's the same as the Fiend, though. If she gets her hands, if she gets her hands on Sonya, maybe she turns Sonya back into the old Sonya.
I wonder too. Sonya was in a hair versus career match when she left, but then all that shit happened, so they dropped it and made it a loser leaves town match. I wonder if Sonya's just actually wants to shave her head, and if you end up in a crazy story with Alexa can get you to a point where you shave your head. She can fuck with you. She can fuck with your hair. She can do all sorts of shit, and it'll shock the hell out of people. What do you think?
I mean, it's interesting. She, the thing that was weird and weirds me out about that when it was hair versus hair, though, it doesn't make any sense because she technically gave Mandy a haircut that time. So what was the point of the hair versus hair at that point?
Yeah, I think it was a shave bald kind of a deal and not just get a nice little bob. But I agree with you. That whole thing was weird. But I do think that everyone... I mean, the deal was that Sonya was going to lose the match and have to shave her head. So I'm wondering if she wants to shave her head and go G.I. Jane, and a storyline with Alexa could easily get you there without having to do the amount of story work that you had to do with Mandy. Plus, you've been there, done that with Mandy. Are you really going to try and go back to a Mandy Sonya hair match? Mandy's moved on. You could easily, if Alexa is doing nothing with nobody but talking to a fucking doll in a playground who makes her do shit that's pretty mean, and she's eyeballing Sonya, she could easily walk behind Sonya and just clip a chunk of hair and be like, what the fuck, and start a match there and end up with the whole thing. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you could do shit. She could put gum in her hair or something. You know what I mean? She could do weird shit. That's all I'm saying.
I could just build up to a match. She ends up hitting her with, like, the Sister Abigail right in the middle of the ring and beats her, and then she just shaves her head right in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. And then you have Sonya come back all fucking G.I. Jane and shit, and yeah, maybe you go from there. Now Sonya's back into being an in-ring competitor, and she's fucking crazy. I can see that. It's the only way I see going with it, because like I said, I even my note put barely different than the last 2 weeks. Something needs to happen. Something needs to change. I don't know what that is yet, but something's got to be, because at this point it's just too close.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had Lana and Naomi lose to Shayna and Nia because Reginald was getting involved again. Again, man, they keep doing all this stuff to make sure that Shayna and Nia seem lesser than Reginald, and they need Reginald, and Carmella didn't even need Reginald.
Yeah.
It was fucking. I'm just don't like any of this stuff, and I'd have been happy if Lana and Naomi won. I don't understand how they're both still tag champions, Shayna and Nia. They should have never become tag champions once they lost them to Charlotte and Asuka. That was your perfect out. That was your only out. Charlotte and Asuka beat Shayna and Nia. Cool, believable. Move on. Shayna and Nia, put them in a program, have them blame each other for the loss. And now have any team come through and beat Charlotte and Asuka because Charlotte and Asuka just don't seem to be communicating because Charlotte's racist and weird and yells at her slowly and loudly, and they just don't get it done. Something happens. Charlotte gets fed up and walks away and leaves Asuka alone like she's prone to do. And then boom, fucking you have the belts on literally any other tag team in the entire division, and then they can go on and do their own thing now too.
Yeah, but the thing with Charlotte and Asuka, I will always believe that it was just to pad Charlotte's stats. Just so she could finish that Grand Slam, and that's it.
100%.
That's it. It was just a freaking thing to put it on there, and that was it.
I agree. That's what bothers me about it. And then at WrestleMania, they had the ability to right the wrong. All they had to do was let Tamina and Natty win it in an arena, or stadium, mind you, that was chanting Tamina's name.
Yes.
25,000 people chanting for Tamina. And you fucking didn't pull the trigger then?
Yeah, I'm at the point where I want Nia and Shayna to get rid of these fucking titles already. I've grown tired of them being champions already. We need to get to the point where those titles get to somebody. At this point I want it to be Natty and Tamina so bad.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'll take anybody just to get those titles off of those two, just so we can get the two of them breaking up.
Yeah, they just need to be apart, and they need to be not the tag champions and 100%. I'm just so over them as tag titles holders to begin with. Even once they got it and they didn't want to be a tag team, and it was like, I don't like any of this. And they're not the heels that cheat to win. They're the heels that have a manager that keeps getting involved because they keep losing matches, and the manager fucking freaks out. Reginald, the fucking love interest for whatever reason. So, I don't know. Just no good. No good, and don't know the point. But we talked about that a little bit earlier. We did have the end of the night, Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, and Drew came off as a total fucking heel this whole time. On commentary, he was being a dick. Braun gets thrown over and knocks into Drew, and Drew literally just fucking face palms and slaps Braun in the face and says, "Get away from me." So Braun starts to get away from Drew, and Drew charges him. So Braun shoves Drew, and then Braun goes into the ring, and then Drew gets on the apron and goes, "I fucking dare you. I dare you to hit me. Dare you." Do you fucking think you look like the good guy here? You think you look like the tough guy? You look like a total fucking asshole.
Yeah.
A dude falls into you and you overreact on that level. Literally the point where he has to shove you to get away from you. He goes into the ring to continue his match he's having. And you interfere there screaming, I dare you to hit me. You think you look like the good guy.
That is heel all over.
Someone behaves that way in a bar and they're being told to leave. You're a dick. You're picking fights with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the match happens. Drew distracts Braun. Braun goes down. And then Drew rushes the fucking ring and blindsides Bobby with a Claymore and then blindsides Braun with a Claymore. Classic heel shit. Blindsiding and sucker punching. Like, it's just weird to me that I saw people going like, seems a little heelish for Drew to do that little thing at the end. I was like, plus all the stuff before it and everything he said all year. All those things combined make for a total fucking asshole. And again, he's probably the nicest dude actually in real life. I'm not saying Drew's a real dick. I'm saying the way this character is, real fucking easy to boo. Really want him to lose. So I think they got to just pull the trigger on this and let it be what it is. Let him just be the full-on heel here. Quit trying to make the other people sound a little bit goofy. Trying to make them the bad guys when you have a dude who's trying to be the good guy talking and acting like an asshole the whole time. It makes the bad guys come off real fucking silly when the good guys out assholing the bad guys.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
What do you think of this whole thing here? I actually went to go take a shower and I was like, I'll watch this match tomorrow, last night when it came on. And then producer's like, really? And I was like, well, it's Braun versus Bobby. So, Drew's going to come out. He's going to get involved. He's probably going to kick both of them, cost somebody the match. And fucking that is what it is. It's all about Drew. And as I was like putting my stuff away, yeah. And then as I'm getting ready, I'm getting my stuff. I'm taking it into the shower. It's only been a few minutes. And all of a sudden I was like, is that Drew's music? And she's like, yep, you called it. I was like, okay. What'd you think of all this, Justin?
I mean, it's right now. It's just a feud. It's a feud that's gone too far. That's being drug out too much. Lashley and Drew have gone at it way too damn much. Enough's enough. Like this needs to be it after this. I still feel the only reason why Strowman's in this match is because he's taking the pin from whoever. I don't know if it's Drew getting the title back, Lashley retaining. I hope it's Lashley retaining. But I just feel like Strowman's in this match to eat the pin. That's it. They just wanted to give him this match. They gave him this opportunity to beat Lashley, but of course he wasn't going to beat Lashley because Lashley's been looking so freaking strong week after week after week for months now, actually, I would say. And why have him lose right now? It's just too obvious that Strowman's in here for just to be the safety net for whoever at this point.
Yeah. I think so too. I really hope they double down on Lashley, let him get the win, and let that kind of be that for a while. I mean, McIntyre is always going to be in the title picture one way or another, but you could build some distance here. You could have him in a conversation that involves other things for a bit. You could even have him in the U.S. title picture for a little bit. You could rebuild Drew to a point where we want him to win, where we're rooting for him. At this point, we feel like he's given everything all the time and is just shoehorned into everything that, I don't want him to win. I don't care. I want Bobby to have a chance. It's going to take some doing, I think, to get Drew back into a place where we go, oh, yeah, he should be on top. Right now, we're like, no, this is Bobby Lashley's time for sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's just, I have this bad feeling that it's going back to Drew.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what for, and I don't look forward to it if it does, because at this point, too, I mean, Drew was just beating up legends for a while, and his whole title reign was really slow and awkward, but...
Yeah, the only issue with the WWE title right now is outside of those three, there's no challengers. There's nothing.
I mean, I think you can get to an Orton or Riddle conversation with the world title pretty easily. I think, let's see, who do we got here? It's too fresh for like a Damien. Yeah, maybe.
I can't even see Riddle going in there because there's so many people that are just so against Matt Riddle. So even then, I don't see them pushing. I don't see them giving Matt Riddle the WWE title at all. And it's because of those fucking allegations that, again, people just want to fucking believe. And we have no proof that it's been true, that it's even true. And even if it was true, didn't Riddle fucking admit that it was true? And his wife did too. So why are we still going on about this?
It's another one of those things where it's like, I want to know what accountability looks like to some people, because it's like, I understand that there's like an accountability that needs to happen, but I also don't understand what people want. It kind of goes back to the garbage bag thing. Okay, I get that wasn't ideal. What is it? What is it that you do want? What does look right? And I do think that when it comes to things like that, sometimes the conversation is not, this is what accountability looks like. It's just burn, motherfucker, burn. And I just don't know if that's the most human response to have, or humane even. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about any of that stuff to say this is where I stand on it. I definitely don't. But I know that there's a lot of people who want his head on a stick, and I don't know what accountability looks like for what varying degrees of what, if it all looks the same for literally anything that happens. You know what I mean? Somebody literally shipped something in a bag, and the person was fired. And then everyone's response is, okay, but now fire other people. And you're all like, okay, what all is, like, I just don't know what it all looks like across the board, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems a little muddy. So I could see that. I also think that after Backlash, they need to do another draft. The Monday I think that Raw and SmackDown after Backlash should be a superstar shakeup or draft. They need to wiggle these rosters around.
I remember last Backlash. I'm pretty sure they did exactly that.
Well, they should. If Bruce is listening.
I've never advocated for the fucking brand split. I feel like you get different challengers if you don't have the brand split, but I'm trying to, not be against it as much, but it's so hard to, when the main thing all I think of is you're stuck in this fucking circle of the same challengers over and over and over for fucking 5-6 months. If you didn't have the brand split, you have more options, it feels like. Because you're not choosing to push anybody else to even build anybody else up to even attempt to challenge for a title. But you have all these other people that can challenge for a title, but they're on the other show. So that's why I've always been against the brand split. But
yeah, but I think that you also, especially in a company that has a pay-per-view every single month, as much as we complain now about the potential shotgunning of matches and dream matches and things like that, if you don't have a brand split, then that's all you're getting is shotgun matches. I think having the longer-term storylines are forced with the brand split. And to be honest, I know a lot of people say that there are no long-term storylines, but that's just because they're not paying attention. I mean, we mentioned about a few of these things, about how many months some of these things have been going on. And, I mean, you may not like the story in and of itself, but it is still a story. And it may feel a little staticky at times, but that's kind of how it goes. Or you may think it has a slow start, but that's any story. I think that having the brand split, it allows, for one, a specific feel for each show. And so not everything just feels the same as the last thing. And I think it forces the idea of like, hey, we've got 1 year with this roster. Where can we go by the end of that year? And I think it makes for an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, you can see it.
because then it also builds the want for some of these dream matches. If you can have them at any time. I mean, right now it's all like people saying, oh, they can't wait for Drew versus Roman. Okay, but how do we get there? Well, right now I have no idea how we get there. But it's the match that everybody wants. So it's like, well, you keep them apart for a while and have them on top on their respective brands, and then when they end up on the same brand, it's just two titans waiting to collide. You know what I mean? So it's almost built-in anticipation for a match.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Justin. All in time. Except if you wanted more iconic stuff, they're gone. So forget it. But anything else you want to say about Raw?
Nope. I think we covered what we needed to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame with the Alexa stuff, too, because I think that she's doing an awesome job with it. This is one of those ones where I really do think this is not the fault of the performer.
Yeah,
you know
she did great with the whole Fiend thing before he came back, but now it just feels like we're kind of just stagnant right now.
100%. 100%. So, yeah, I think this is one of those ones. I think Alexa is one of the ones where you can't blame the talent, and I think that Drew's one of the ones where you specifically should blame the talent. So, anything else that you want to throw out there, Justin, before we have last call?
No, that's really about it. Just thank you for letting me come on again.
Do you have anything lined up coming up?
Nope, nothing that I know of yet.
Nothing booked right now? Okay. You can tell people where they can find you.
You can find me only on Twitter, JustinTime211. You'll
That's right, Justin
hate
Time.
my takes. You'll love my takes. Take your pick, whichever one you want.
He is very vocal on all of his takes, and he's the curator of this side of the IWC, making sure that all of us folk who like to talk wrestling and still be friends at the end of it know that we're all out there. So when we feel alone in the IWC, when we see all the negativity and all of the harshness and the blocking, and we say, why can't people just argue and also be friends? Justin Time is the one who's curating that relationship and saying, oh, you guys didn't realize this is where the party's at. So
we'll get that trending one of these days.
Hell yeah, we will. The problem is our side's so small. He's Justin Time. We are WOTR, the show on Twitter. I am at Ref Marsh. This is Wrestling on the Rocks. It's been another good episode 1. We'll be back for episode 1. Guys, that's the last call. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.